Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, the Full Monty. We got a lot to get into. NBA playoff review and preview. A couple of teams move on to the second round. We'll talk about that. Also, Hawks, they keep it interesting. And also, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. We'll preview the games coming up tonight. Lakers and Grizzlies, Warriors, Kings. We'll dive deep into the NBA playoff discussion. Also, Steve Sarkisian making the rounds on his Texas tour. He was in H-Town at the Touchdown Club. There are a lot of tweets out there about what was said from Steve Sarkisian. We'll review that coming up next segment. Also give you an update on the Michigan home and home series with Texas. We'll dive and go behind the burnt orange curtain. Also, we'll talk Bijan Robinson and the NFL draft. He was making the rounds on NFL Live, on NFL Network. We'll play that audio. And we'll respond, especially for you Cowboys fans. This might be hard to digest. We'll jump into it, top of the 4 o'clock, and talk all NFL news, notes, and nuggets related to the NFL draft coming up tomorrow. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, for the first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 and chase his dream and the cheese. Pimpin' ain't easy, but for him it's a breeze. He is the Mike Hardball Harge. What's going on, brother?
Man, I'm here and excited about it. We are less than 24, well, we're probably right around a little bit over 24 hours before the NFL draft. You brought up Bijan Robinson. We're also looking at Roschon Johnson. Who's going to be number 2? What are your Texans going to do, Rod Papers? We don't know. But what I do know is we're going to be here to break it all down. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Fame Longhorn, Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate that intro as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, the man behind the scenes, one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We do know he's underpaid. Also, he's the owner of Lou, who's the unofficial mascot of Ball Don't Lie. It's Patrick Davis. How you doing, Patrick?
Doing good, doing good. Ready for draft day to get here?
Oh, I know. I'm tired of silly season.
I know. It is.
I didn't even bring up I didn't want to bring up the Texans to you, Patrick. That's why I went to Rod, because you are dating from afar, and I didn't want to put you in the middle of that.
No.
That's his ex. He's cyber stalking his ex.
Yep.
That's what he does.
But I think everyone right now is cyber stalking the Texans though, because no one knows what they're gonna do. And everyone, if you're not the Carolina Panthers, you're really curious what they're going to do, because your team, you need to know what the Texans are going to do.
No, I'm with you. They are right now the biggest wild card in the draft. Team-wise, player-wise, Bijan might be the biggest wild card in the draft. Player-wise, gives us a ton to talk about, and we do have some Bijan audio that we'll get to coming up in the top of the 4 o'clock. We don't have Sark audio, but we have quotes from Sark that we'll get to coming up next segment. Talk some Texas football because he's doing the, I think they call it the Texas tour. I'm sure they have a better name for it that I'm just kind of giving it a makeshift.
No, I like that. That's what we do.
Well, yeah, I think he goes to all the major cities and sometimes some of the other cities and just talks to Texas Longhorn fan groups and gives them some inside information. So hopefully we can get some of those nuggets, and we'll get those to you. You can be a part of the show. You're the most important part of it. Specs text line is the best place to do it, 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. But first, before we talk NFL draft and before we get into some Texas football discussion, we got to talk NBA playoffs, gentlemen, because man, a lot of these series wrapped up, but Trae Young, he wasn't ready to go on vacation just yet.
You mean Ice Trae?
Ice
Trae?
Yeah, I like that. That's nice.
He want to freezer burn you? He want to give you a little freezer burn right there.
Hey, man, he was ice cold. Well, he wasn't ice cold, but ice water in his veins, I should say, for last night. He had 38 points. 16 of those came in the fourth quarter win for the Hawks, 119-117, and Boston still leads the series 3-2. But now I believe Game 6 goes back to Atlanta.
Yup.
So
ATL,
DeJounte Murray comes back?
And that's probably the biggest storyline right there is that Boston collapsed. Trey Young had a great game, Ice Trey as you call him. He had a great game, but the argument can be made that Boston just collapsed. They had a 109-96 lead.
Yes.
With 7 minutes left against a shorthanded, as Patrick just mentioned, Atlanta team without DeJounte Murray serving that one-game suspension and couldn't close out the game.
That's the frustrating part. And not only that, this is something that we talked about yesterday with the Philadelphia 76ers being able to close out their playoff round. Mm-hmm. They get more rest for Joel Embiid, who was dealing with a knee injury. The more games that they have to play between Boston and Atlanta, the more rest he is allowed to get. And that also puts a lot of pressure on the Boston Celtics because now you got a fresh Joel Embiid. He's got extra days of therapy. He's got extra days of rest. Now he's going to be able to get his opportunity to play. Yeah, you put yourself in the grease now, man. You are going to be playing on a shorter rest than what Philadelphia is doing.
That's a great point. Just looking ahead, here's a great stat for you. Since 2003, teams up 3-1. Which Boston was up 3-1 in this series at home for Game 5 and leading after three quarters, which they were 54-4 going into tonight, obviously going into last night, I should say, and are now 54-5. They also teams going back to 2003 were 30-0 when leading by double digits in that circumstance, and now 30-1.
Yeah.
So that was more of a Boston collapse. And it was a clutch play by Ice Trey. 16 points in the fourth quarter. But Boston, man, Jason Tatum, he had 19 points. Jaylen Brown had 35. But they got to close, man. Coffee's for closers.
Got to be able to have it.
Always be closing, and that was not the case. They also, the Celtics were 29-1 when shooting 49% this year. Now 29-2 because they shot really well.
They shot the ball well. They were attacking. They got points in the paint. They scored 60 points in the paint and lost.
That's amazing.
They scored 60 points in the paint and lost.
That is unbelievable.
It just made no sense.
That's the craziest stat right there.
Right.
60 points in the paint.
And lost the game. But here's the other part of it, too, when you start looking at how it breaks down, and y'all are going to laugh on another game here in just a little bit, but they were 7 of 13 from the free throw line, and Atlanta was 10 of 10. Difference in the game, free throw shooting and points in the paint. You got an opposite attract each other on that end of it right there.
Yeah.
It was crazy because when I saw that Trey got the ball at half court, I told my son, I said, this is the reason why, and Patrick, you can attest to this. You don't let a shooter dribble up the court to find his rhythm. I said, as soon as he got the ball, I said, he's about to launch this from where he did because that's who his shot is. That's how he goes down with it. And I said, he's in rhythm, and sure enough, bang. That wasn't a guy, he wasn't even close enough to even contest the shot for him. I was like, you know that Trae Young will pull up from anywhere. How are you not touching him?
And you know Trae Young's going for a three.
Exactly.
You know he's not trying to drive the hoop. I know you're trying to protect for driving the hoop. You have to trust your backup defense on that place. You have to be able to trust because I get 1995 logic would tell you stand at the three-point line, they ain't shooting it from that far back. We are in 2023. You got to guard him, start picking him up at the half-court line. We saw another game last night. They were picking up Devin Booker at the half-court line and being like, we're just going to make your life harder on you than easier.
Yep.
And they didn't seem to do that to Trae Young. He has another game that, this was for me more of Boston just falling apart.
For sure.
Jason Tatum had a really bad game. Jaylen Brown had a good game, but they just didn't really use him as much as they needed to at the end. Dumb fouls, a bad technical call by the refs. All of those things compile up in one that allows the Hawks to win. But again, this is not the formula for the Hawks to have a long run in the playoffs is bulk shooting. And I get he hit some big shots.
And no DeJounte Murray.
No DeJounte Murray, but it's like you have to be able to try and you can't shoot under 50% and take 30-plus shots a game and expect to win playoff series that way.
Well, the other part of it, too, is the Boston Celtics won every category except for free throw shooting, three-point percentage, and point. They won every category. They were first. There's no. If you were blind looking at this without knowing the score, you think Boston blew them out.
No, it's one of the most unlikely losses in playoff play in recent years.
Right.
It's just it was just crazy, and they were at home. It just everything the way it went down. It was unbelievable. And Trae Young, I mean, just give him credit. He actually has been showing up in the fourth quarter of this series. He has scored 60 total points in the fourth quarter of this series versus the Celtics. That's the most fourth quarter points through 5 games of playoff series since 2011. So he's been, at this point, I should say, through the playoff series. So he's been scoring a lot when they need him in the fourth quarter. But Patrick's right. He's got to be efficient. And when DeJounte Murray comes back, they'll be at home. And if they can force a Game 7, we all know anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Anything happens
Those
in
are
a
two
Game 7.
favorite words in sports.
And I think
Game 7.
we've seen in this series, too, Quinn Snyder's a better coach.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll give you
can
that.
tell at points Missoula looks overmatched as a coach, where he just doesn't know when to call the timeouts, how to get his team to calm down, how to get him back in the games. He's trying to do the same kind of stuff, but just how they were even inbounding the ball at the end of that game to get a shot up, and it didn't look like it's like, man, you don't have a play. This is for you to move on to the next round. Like you sink the shot, you move on.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just running around.
Yeah.
Like with no real rhyme or reason of what you're doing. All that seemed like they didn't know what they were doing, and Quinn Snyder knew how to. Hey man, I know how to get a win out of nothing.
Yep.
We got nothing, and we're gonna get this win. And Missoula knew how to get a loss out of everything. And you can see that and go, man, you just be careful, because Quinn Snyder will try and pull another one out in Atlanta, and he knows how to get it. He knows how to work the refs. He knows how to do all of these things. You need to come out, and if you're the Celtics players, realize, hey man, we're just better than them. Let's just go beat them.
Yeah, this is for the Celtics. I'm with you. Like, they got to approach this with a sense of urgency, really unlike anything they've had this season so far. They got to kind of treat it like a Game 7 elimination game.
Yeah,
every game is.
Forget
There
the fact
is no
elimination
tomorrow.
game mentality.
This is the forget the fact you were in the finals last year game. Hey man, throw that out. Doesn't matter anymore. You can't ride on that anymore, because this team, who has no business being in this series with you,
no business,
is now picked up another win.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is the opposite was happening with the Clippers and the Suns. Now, the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, without Paul George, so they were basically a shell of themselves pretty much that they were during the regular season. But the Suns left no doubt, and Devin Booker has taken his game to another stratosphere, gentlemen. He's in another universe right now. We were talking about Jimmy Butler yesterday, too. He's got some crazy numbers. Devin Booker in this series averaging over 37 points per game, shooting 65% on two-pointers, shooting 47% on three-pointers, and basically 86% from the line. Just crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And he scored 47 last night to close out the Clippers.
And that
Put them out of their misery.
Yeah, my son, he last night he was.
Hey, Russ has showed up.
But the thing
Not
about
last
it
night.
is,
Huh?
last night
Well,
was
not last night, throughout the series. Throughout the series.
He was not a happy camper, and he even said at points he kept saying, "I hope he doesn't shoot the ball right now," because he was just going too fast. Everything he was doing, his normal speed, 100 miles an hour, but there were times where he was just overplaying and overshooting and just trying to do too much instead of creating for others to be able to knock down. Even at the end of the game, when he made that pass to Mann and it ended up tipping off of his hand and going into the bleachers, he threw a fastball. He threw a fastball like it was real close. So it was one of those things where, look, Kawhi Leonard dealing with the injury. You don't have Paul George the entire series. You're really limited in the success that you can have just because you need extra pieces when you're playing a team like the Phoenix Suns. When you got Devin Booker knocking it down from every angle and Kevin Durant's your second leading scorer
31
on the team, and then you got DeAndre Ayton out there doing his thing, Chris Paul being the leader that he is. And again, you start looking at the coaching. Tyronn Lue said it flat out. Hey, man, if you don't have two of your best players on the squad and they got what they got over there,
you're done, son.
You're done, son. We were lucky to win a little bit of that.
They pushed it because it was a blowout at first, and then they They hit some three. They had four straight threes.
Yep.
Yeah.
They brought it back close, but it was, man, Devin Booker, they left no doubt. That third quarter
Yes.
for the Suns, they scored 50 points in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Devin Booker, I believe, scored 25 of those.
And that was the deal.
That's
was
the separator.
in that fourth quarter, they basically tried to ball deny Devin Booker more. And so the rest of the Suns that were open were trying to shoot. They weren't hitting. And then Monty Williams was like, just get the ball to Devin Booker. Just get him the ball. Like, why are we
real.
not getting the ball to Kevin Durant and Devin Booker? Just get them the ball and we'll win this game. And when they did that, they pulled it back out again.
It's he's got some cartoonish stats, man. He had 186 points, 75 assists. So basically, he's responsible for
'Everything.
43% essentially of their total points either scored or assisted on in this series. He has more assists than assisted buckets. Got
Yeah.
30. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is actually it's kind of freaky too. So yeah, he's just on another level.
Yeah, he's
Right
done.
now. Yeah.
He's done a really, really good job of understanding that I have Kevin Durant on my team, so I can go as hard as I can possibly go, and I've got backup. Where before it was Chris Paul, he's not that type of scorer, and then you got DeAndre Ayton, who at times was not engaged with the basketball team. Remember, he was on that Kyler Murray plan. He was always playing video games the entire time and not really dialing in to what it was the expectation as a big-time player for Phoenix. This is Phoenix's best chance. If they're going to win a championship, this year is their best chance to do so.
Yeah, the Suns were actually down at halftime.
Yeah.
I think down 9 at halftime, and turned that into a 17-point lead. I mean, when they hit the throttle, they don't have any depth. That's their one flaw. They don't have depth.
They don't.
So if you can expose that, then that's how you get to the Suns. But, man, their front line talent is so
Oh, my God, it's so
extraordinary.
Yeah, it's so deep.
Because even CP3, he's been relegated now to the role of
Point
just
guard.
being, but like a tertiary, role
Yeah.
with the team because
Just be the
KD,
floor
Devin Booker,
general.
and he does great in the second half. 48 of his 68 points in the first round came in the second half of games,
Right.
including 11 of his 15 points in Game 5. That's when the old man. He feels the game out. He's feeling, okay, so what do I need? How can I contribute to the team? And he's doing a really good job in the second half. So, the Suns, they're going to be hard to beat, and that's going to be a great series because they're advancing. So are the Denver Nuggets.
I will say one thing real quick about the Clippers and Russell Westbrook is I think he might have found a home for the next few years of his career in L.A. He fits well with a team that is going to not have its starters and stars be probably at 20 to 25 games a year.
Right.
Where they go, hey, man, we just need somebody else who 20 to 25 games a year gives us a chance to win a game with his effort and his intensity when we're not playing. And we got some young guys, but if we can get Russell Westbrook who can come in those 20, 25 games that Paul George or Kawhi or one of those guys out, and we just need someone to put the effort in, and the fans really love him because they have a team that never has its stars seem to want to play and load management and everything else, that these LA Clippers fans are like, we just like a guy who wants to be here.
Yeah.
He seems to want to be on the court every time.
He does.
So we love that he's the one going for every rebound when Kawhi's running back up the court. And he's like, they love him for that,
Yep.
which I get. So you're like, this may be a good fit for him where he doesn't have to be an MVP every day, but he'll get his little runs throughout the season where, hey, man, you get to have a few good games. You get to have some more fun. You're in LA where you wanted to be anyway. You thought it was going to be the Lakers, but it's going to be the Clippers. I think he may have found a place where he can fit for the next few years and be able to still do what he does and it not be a detriment to a team, but it actually a positive.
I agree, actually. I agree 100%. And it seemed unlikely, but
Right.
it ended up fitting. And, the NBA's big issue, just availability, just stars being available to play, even in the playoffs now. And I know that's just more coincidence, load management during the regular season. But, nobody denies that Russell Westbrook wants to be on the court and wants to play hard.
He wants to play, and he wants to play.
Even if it's actually it puts his team at a
Yeah,
disadvantage.
at the detriment of his team,
Yeah.
he gonna give you effort.
He will play 48 minutes a game, 82 games a year if he could.
Yes,
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and you know what?
And that is why me as a parent, and I look at people who show up for work every day, that would be my motivation. That's why I appreciate the fact of what my son believes in Russell Westbrook for. But even then, he's getting older now, and he's realizing that he's got way too many jerseys of different teams, and he's like, but he plays hard. I always get to understand that. He's going to give me everything.
It's like Jimmy Butler. If you're a Jimmy Butler fan, you got a lot of jerseys too.
Yeah, you got Jimmy Bucket. Jimmy Buckets
Jimmy
like to
Buckets,
move around.
I'll say this about Russell Westbrook. He has 550 points basically from 25,000 points from the regular season. And like you include the playoffs and everything, that'd make him the 28th player to reach that in the regular season. 29th, they said Harden actually is going to be close to that too. He also has 820 assists shy of 10,000. So maybe within a couple of seasons, if he's playing with the right team, as Patrick said, and he plays a lot, man, he could be really high up in the record books. If Russ can reach both of those milestones, he'll become the second player in NBA history to reach 25,000 points and 10,000 assists.
Yeah, and when you saw Kawhi's knee, they said it's a torn meniscus is what came out today, is why he was out for those last couple games, and that's why he got shut down.
Well, he's got time to go get surgery.
He's got time to try and get it fixed,
That
but
experiment, it's not working.
And the problem is you have to sign him because he's one of the best players in the NBA, and if he wants to come to your franchise, you can't be like, nah, I'll pass, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
However, you have to hope that the injuries work out in your favor, and they just haven't. It doesn't seem like they're going to. You knew that was going to be somewhat of a problem with Paul George too, but I think it's if the game plan is now, if you're able to bring Russell Westbrook back, depending on if he's willing to take the pay cut he's going to have to take to stay there, if he's ready to be there, then you have a guy that will try and fill that hole for the times when those guys are out and can be a fan favorite in LA. That you have to figure out when with all three of them on the court, but they seem to be okay on the court
when
together.
they play, yeah.
So it seemed like everything seemed to work out that way. So, I think that's probably the best shot for him, that if he tries to go somewhere else, I don't know if it works out. A lot of these places don't necessarily like it as much. You have to figure out what to do with Bones Highland because
that's another guy. He's like, get him off the team. Why is he shooting so much? He is the next Russell Westbrook, but at a
not
very
as good.
exactly,
Not
but
as
not
good.
never going to be an MVP.
Bizarro Westbrook.
Exactly, that's fair.
Bizarro Westbrook.
That's fair.
Yeah. The Denver Nuggets also move on, gentlemen. 112-109 win over Minnesota.
Man.
And then Jamal Murray, just a monster game, 35 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists.
So overdue for him, and you start looking at it, you start thinking about what you see with the Joker and how those pieces. Remember, last year he was the missing piece for this basketball team because he was out for the entire playoffs and season. And you remember halfway through the season this year, Coach Malone was challenging his team a lot. Because he kept saying, this is not a championship team. They play too soft. We're a very soft basketball team at this point.
Like, use the word soft?
Yes, multiple times. Yeah. He said, this is not a team that can go out there and compete for the playoffs and try to be in the championships. But you look at who they are and those big pieces, the valuable part about it is the Joker. He goes out there and he plays, and he is not the most flashy guy, but he's very consistent. He made a shot at the end of the game. And here's the other part. The over-under yesterday was 221 and a half.
Wow.
He missed a free throw, and then they had the three-point shot at the end of the game to try to tie it to go into overtime by Anthony Edwards.
How do they know?
Exactly.
How do they know?
And I took the over. And your boy took the over.
Did you run in the tunnel like Anthony Edwards?
I was just sitting there going, I was like, can you please just make one free throw, Joker?
That's brutal.
Can you make one free throw? And that's what he did. He made one. He missed the first one, but he made the second one. Unbelievable.
That's why they're building newer casinos.
Yes.
Yeah, all the time. Every year, newer casinos going up. That is why. I don't know how they know. That is
Exactly.
crazy. Yeah, Joker had a 28-point triple-double. All right, we come back. We got to talk about Steve Sarkisian. He is making the rounds. He's in H-Town at the Touchdown Club, or at least he was, and he spoke to a lot of Longhorn fans. So we do have some quotes that we'll read and kind of analyze what Sark is talking about. A lot of hype before this season for the Texas football team. Also, update on the Michigan home series, and we also get into some other Texas football conversation. We'll go behind the burnt orange curtain right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104 on the Horn.
Mike Arch here for Quick Roofing. Listen, I know that the last couple days have been tough. Rain has been hitting us up. I know in some areas there's been a lot of hail. We've getting all kinds of thunder warnings. You're not thinking enough about your house. So make sure that you hit my friends up at Quick Roofing. Go to quickroofing.com today. I'm telling you right now, this is a business that has been around for more than 39 years and done over 200,000 projects. And trust me, you can't stay in business that long if you aren't taking care of your customers. And, of course, you have to have that great reputation of customer service. It's real easy to reach out to them. You will get a free, no obligation inspection. What is it going to hurt? Do yourself a favor and do that. And if you do decide to go with Quick Roofing, you'll get a 7-year workmanship warranty. They will make sure that they have a project manager on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, get everything that you were promised. You don't even have to pay any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. And just to make sure that you understand this, they are fully insured and have all state and local licenses. So what are you waiting for? Reach out today and get that free inspection. Go to quickroofing.com today. That's quickroofing.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. That's when Patrick takes songs from a soundtrack of a movie that inspired him, based on those selections here that are played for Harge and I. And we're supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. And, oh man, turn it up a little bit. Let me get a little bit more of that. Okay.
And this Superfly?
I mean, this.
No, I'm talking about the song is Superfly.
This song,
right?
no. The song is from the movie Superfly, but it is also in this other movie.
Okay.
Is it Shaft?
No.
Okay.
The only one I can say right now would be Friday because this is the
Oh,
Which we'll
good.
say CB blew up my spot this morning
that's good.
because he put it out. So Harge is guessing not knowing this song is in Friday.
No,
but
I do.
Of course, it's Friday.
It's on the opening scene.
It's a very early scene. But
Yeah, I was
outside.
gonna say it's in the
It's
opening
at the very,
scene.
yeah, and today is Friday. CB blew up my spot today, posting that it was Friday.
So
It is the anniversary of Friday coming out, so today is Friday.
beautiful.
But this is one of the very first scenes in the movie where he's with his dad. He's with his dad, and his dad was coming in. Yeah.
who's now passed away, right? Is he no
John,
longer-
yeah, Witherspoon is
Yeah.
passed away. Bang, bang. You know what I'm saying? Why every time I'm in the kitchen, you in the kitchen. You know the
yeah.
hog molds,
No, that was
the pig feet.
that was for Ice Cube. Just to, I mean, that was like, I don't know. I'm sure he acted before that and some stuff, but for him as like an actor, that was a huge move because that became iconic.
Yes, it
became
did.
like a cult classic.
It's a cult. Yeah, it was a cult
became like
following
a cult
right
classic, and yeah, man, Ice Cube now for some people they don't know him less as a rapper and more
there.
as
And as an
an
actor.
actor. It's like Ice-T too, Detective Tutuola. As he's known on SVU. All right, let's get to some Sark quotes here. Shout out to Anwar Richardson. That's why I got a couple of these. Anwar Richardson of Orange Blood. So shout out to him if you want to go check it out via Twitter. So we'll just kind of go through these rapid fire. Let me know if some of this interests you guys, if you want to comment on it. He said that Steve Sarkisian was asked about Arch Manning, and he said Arch Manning doesn't have an he doesn't have an NIL deal yet.
I think that's cool.
He says Sarkisian said Archie Manning's and the family stance is Arch can't have an NIL deal until he becomes a college starter. Wow.
Hey,
I like that.
I would, but see, everybody ain't
Wow.
royalty. You know what I'm saying?
I said they want
A lot of people can't afford
Hey.
those luxuries.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, but good for them. You gotta earn it. Earn that NIL deal. When he was asked about the starting quarterback job, he just said Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback, barring something crazy happening, whatever it may be. Nothing crazy
think we
can happen.
all
He's
knew
gonna be
that.
the guy. Yeah. He also said here from my man Anwar Richardson, Steve Sarkisian said Anthony Hill, the freshman linebacker, is going to be a star. Told the Touchdown Club. Guy's going to be a star. I think we saw that in the spring game.
We saw
was
that
pretty
easy
obvious.
movement that he had out there, right?
Especially when they put him on the edge. I mean,
Yeah.
he can play early on the edge, and until he becomes obviously a great all around player at this level. But that may not take him long either. He does have all the raw material to be a great player. He also said that Malik Murphy. He's not surprised Malik Murphy never entered the transfer portal. Said that they have a great culture and praised Murphy for being patient and playing behind a quarterback in high school, and said Murphy is a great young man and awesome teammate. You were out when we got into this. We played some audio of, I think it's Josh Pate from
Yep.
Josh Pate from, I believe he's in
24/7
Sports.
Yeah.
And we played another cut from, I believe Ken Simonton, maybe is his name.
Okay.
From On3, different organizations, obviously. Both of them, after watching the spring game, in their analysis of the spring game, they both brought up Malik Murphy and hinted that Malik Murphy would be a starter at other programs and would be a quarterback that other programs around the country, big time programs, could build around.
Agree.
And
I think we all think that as well, just from what we saw. Now, as harsh as I cover the quarterback position and some of the things that I see, I think for him, yes, this is something we've been wanting to see. This is something that we were looking for in him getting his opportunity to go out there and play. But until you get into a live situation, you don't know how he's going to react. Do I believe that this young man has the ability to do so? Absolutely. Are there some times in that spring game where you can see the upside in somebody? Absolutely. But there's still a lot that happens and transpires in a real game as opposed to a spring game where you can look a certain type of way.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because they've said that he's got the strongest arm on the team.
We saw a little bit of it.
I think there are several motivations behind him, staying here at Texas. Obviously, Steve Sarkisian being considered a quarterback guru. He's got a nice resume of quarterbacks that he's put into the NFL that are playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. Also, let's be honest. I mean, we've talked about it. Texas, even going back to, 1999 when I first came on the 40 acres, you go all the way back then, there only been 6 seasons where Texas hasn't utilized a backup quarterback for either injury, knock on wood, or for performance.
Yep.
So there's a good chance that Malik Murphy's going to get a shot this season for one reason or another. And just throw it out there, just keep it real. And if keeping real was a crime, I'd probably already be in jail. But he probably he's probably at practice watching and saying, man, I think I can do better than Quinn.
And you should.
I think Quinn's. He's like, I'm just saying in his head, maybe that he's thinking to himself, "Hey, Quinn's great, but I think I'm just as good, if not better, and I ain't even been playing." And he's like, he believes if Quinn has bad games or a bad couple of games on the backup, I might get the job, and I might never relinquish it.
And that's what you want. Real talk. As a competitor, that's what you're looking at.
He should be. If he ain't thinking like that.
If he's not thinking like that, he might need to go
He ain't got that dog in him.
He might need to go over there and try to holler at Dion.
Because
they'll let you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm with you on that. That's my thought process, too. That's what it should be. But in reality, again, I am in the corner of the backup quarterback is so important, is just as important as the starting quarterback. I've said it from day one, and I've said it all throughout my career. You have to have a great backup quarterback so things don't get derailed. Any hopes and dreams that you might have rest not only with the starting quarterback, but with your backup quarterback. You've given the stats about how many people in the Big 12 conference, just in the Big 12.
Just one.
We're not even talking about the rest of the country because we've seen it all over the place. Only one Big 12 quarterback made it through the entire season as the starter, where he didn't miss any starts. That, to me, is amazing. That's why it's important to have that backup. So I look at what Malik Murphy, I need you to have that kind of energy. I need you to believe that job is yours, and I need you to believe if you get it, I'm not relinquishing it.
I'm going to play so damn good. Exactly. They're going to be forced to keep me in.
Exactly. And if they don't, they're going to have to create some plays for me. Couple series.
They keep me in.
Right.
It's going to be like, we can't take a guy out who's balling right now like one of the best quarterbacks in the country because that's what I would be if I get that job.
Holla.
Like you said, that's the energy we need.
That's the energy we need.
I like that. All right, Steve Sarkisian also said he doesn't necessarily believe they have a roster need at this time that makes it urgent for them to pursue in the transfer portal. He said he feels comfortable with the team. He also mentioned that the expectations are high. The quote here from Anwar Richardson, Texas football coach Steve Sarkisian, said they have to make this year's expectations become a reality. Texas football coach Steve Sarkisian said the coaches feel confident about the team they have, said they have a lot in place to have a good season. They just have to do it. I think it's more than just they have to do it. This is a no excuses tour.
It's got to be that.
This is double-digit win season. If he wins double-digit games, I don't think Longhorn fans should complain about the season being a disappointment. Now, I know a lot of Longhorn fans say you got to get to the Big 12 title game. Someone's saying you got to win the game. I just think at this point in your tenure, double-digit wins is probably where you should be. And if they don't get double-digit wins, I don't know if you're going to make it to the title game.
Yeah.
In any way.
Yep.
Now, Big 12 might just cannibalize each other and eat each other alive.
We've said that before with baseball. We're seeing it now.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I think Texas, listen, I went and did some research, and we'll do some more kind of deep diving about the college football season coming up. But there are 133 teams, all right, in the FBS. 28 of them, only 28 of them returned the head coach, the OC, DC, and the quarterback from last season.
Wow.
Texas is one of them.
Hello.
Texas will play 6 teams that also return those 4 things: head coach, quarterback, OC, and DC. Wyoming, Tech, Rice, Oklahoma, Kansas State, and Kansas.
Oh wow!
Also in
I
that
thought
category.
BYU would have had their people back too. But
No, I got to go do the
No,
deep
I
dive and
believe
find out
you.
exactly what's changed there. But they are not one of them. But you're right; they always have a lot of stability there.
Yeah.
And there are 5 teams that Texas is going to play with a new OC on the schedule. Bama's going to have a new OC, O'Brien to Tommy Rees, U of H, because Dana Holgerson, I think, is calling the plays now. From Shannon Dawson, Iowa State. They went from Tom Manning to, I can't pronounce this guy's name. It's Nate Skillos. I'm sure I messed that up. I apologize. TCU, Garrett Riley to Kendall Browse, and then Graham Harrell to Chad Scott with West Virginia.
Yeah.
So that, to me, favors Texas because Texas has more stability than those programs are going to face.
At almost every position.
Yeah, so expectations should be high for Steve Sarkisian. How about this? Mattress Mac was there because Mattress Mac is a big Longhorn fan, but also big H-Town representative. And apparently, Joe Cook tweeted this out at Joseph Cook 89. Apparently, Mattress Mac's question: what's the over/under on UT wins next year? Coach Sark, you tell me. Everybody
I'm
knows.
sure you know.
You know he knows. Oh, he knows. No question about it. So yeah, I mean, that's so we'll get to some more kind of random quotes because my man Joe Cook has a couple of good quotes as well that we'll get into that weren't quite the same as Anwar Richardson's quotes. So we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. I did see, and we'll get into this too. The Michigan home and home series has now been switched. And Sark actually was asked about playing these Blue Bloods in the non-conference schedule too, and he says he likes it.
Right.
But that it's really good for recruiting and it's really good for college football overall because he always talks about how he's a huge college football fan and he, loves those the pageantry and really the non-conference schedules between those schools who usually you'll never see those matchups unless you're in a bowl game or unless, you're in some type of, obviously college football playoff game. But Texas and Michigan, there's an update. So they have mutually agreed to flip the location for the home and home series scheduled for 2024 and 2027. So instead of the Wolverines traveling to Austin next year, the 2 programs will face off in Ann Arbor at Michigan Stadium with Texas then hosting Michigan at DKR in 2027.
I like it.
I mean, they got matchups coming up versus Bama and Georgia and Ohio State's on that schedule later on too. It's going to be really sexy. And of course you go to the SEC and then you'll have the gauntlet that is the SEC.
Well, remember too, back in the day, you think about the the home schedule. A lot of people weren't ever really excited about season tickets because the home schedule wasn't that favorable. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, oh, this best team is coming in. Now it's like, oh, we get to play them. We get to play them. Now you get this. You're going to have this. And the move to the SEC also increases the interest of the home games a lot more than before.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. There's some interesting quotes, though, from Joe Cook on here. Apparently, somebody from the Touchdown Club asked Sark, how much did Arch cost y'all? Sark said 0.
Exactly. That's what it's supposed to be.
Said it was 0.
Family ain't letting them give up no money like that. They ain't earned it.
And no NIL deal. We know from the Anwar Richardson quotes that no NIL deal until he becomes a college starter.
Get on the field, man.
Like you said, he doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it. That's royalty. There, he floated in here.
He did. No question.
He didn't come in like your boy though. He didn't come in like Sims in the limo.
He didn't come in the limo. Yeah, that probably wasn't the best optics for Sam to roll in limo. Yeah. Okay, so Gary Patterson was on with Colin Cowherd earlier this week, and he actually was asked about Texas. Since we're talking about Texas and we're talking about the upcoming season, all the expectations. Here is Gary Patterson being asked about Texas's upcoming season. Remember, he was recently the special assistant to the head coach, and now he's taking some personal time. And even listening to this, it sounds like he's going to be back coaching. Maybe not at Texas, at Texas, but he's going to be back coaching pretty soon. But here's Gary Patterson, and he actually is selling some burnt orange Kool-Aid. Hear this.
RG3 did the spring game on TV for Texas. He said he thinks they can compete for the title. Can they? Do you believe they have the personnel?
Well, I think with the freshmen coming in, I think the biggest thing competing for a title is going to have to be is depth. I think if they can stay healthy, I think that Alabama game is going to be a big game just because of perception.
Yes.
Of playing well, either winning or playing them close. Because I watched Alabama later in the year play against Kansas State, which we played in the bowl game. So I think that's really important. But I think that they have an opportunity because they started 3 freshman offensive linemen last year.
Yeah.
All those grow up. They've added some really good skilled players. They lost some running backs, but they've got some good young running backs. And I think their wide receiver core and the quarterback, it's still like anything else. It comes down to either the quarterback making a difference at Texas because if you're going to win a national championship, it's really going to come down to the quarterback play and playing good defense. So, and we got better on defense last year, and I think they'll play the same or better this year.
All right. I'm sure y'all noticed some wheeze in there.
Yeah,
A couple wheeze in there.
You still got a little wee in there.
Hopefully, no, that's good. I want more we. I hope he wants to come back to Texas. Also, I hope he's talking about we, as in how we are going to get better next year. So I like that. But
Don't forget his wife is an alum.
his wife is also a lifetime Longhorn as well.
That's right.
So it does seem like everybody's really high on Texas. And, of course, based on some of the comments from the Houston Touchdown Club, Sark really high on his team. Also, Sark mentioned, based on the Joe Cook tweets here, that Sark will be at the draft with Bijan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he needs to go represent. It's been a long time.
Yeah, you got an opportunity now.
A long
to
time,
have
man.
somebody representing this university that's going to get a big opportunity. Yeah, you need to be out there because that's a great selling point. And there's going to be more Texas Longhorns that will be drafted throughout the weekend, so it's going to be a big move for them.
Another quote from Joe Cook, obviously some of the comments from Sark at the Houston Touchdown Club. He says, Steve Sarkisian says that the morning Arch Manning committed to Texas, he got a text from Cooper Manning. Cooper told Sark, if there's a message to tell the other recruits you are recruiting, it's that Arch Manning is coming to Texas because he loves the University of Texas. He loves the coaches, and he loves the program. It's not about NIL. He's taking zero money.
Talk on it. Speak on it. That's
right.
good.
Okay.
He's trying to look out for Sark. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting. Taking zero money.
Let you know that off rip.
All right, there you go. All right, so some updates on what Sark had to say at the Houston Touchdown Club. He's making the rounds on the Texas tour. We'll talk some more Texas football coming up later on the show. In the 6 o'clock, we come back. We got your flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Pest Wranglers. PestWranglers.com is where you need to go for your pest control needs. Pest Wranglers is locally owned and a small family business that's been around since 2006. Its principle is great customer service leads to happy customers. That is why you need to make Pest Wranglers part of your family as well. The company was started by a man that said he was tired of the way companies treated employees and wanted to make sure that his employees were treated right as well as the customers. If I'm working with them, you know it's the place to be. Pest Wranglers services most of the Central Texas area, and if you are needing help with mosquitoes, termites, rodents, or inspections for residential or commercial properties, right now with a bunch of rain, you've probably got a bunch of ant hills in your yard. Please give Pest Wranglers a call at 512-670-7808 or go to the website at pestwranglers.com. Pest Wranglers won't even make you sign a contract because they believe that if they keep their customers happy, they can keep their customers as well. 5-star ratings on Google, Yelp, Angie's List, and all referral sites. This week, my Pest Wrangler and my Pest of the Week is the bullpen for the Texas Longhorns, and the Texas Rangers. Both of them have given up leads, and they know that they need to get better. So if you want to make sure your bullpen is in the right place, give Pest Wranglers a call. That's PestWranglers.com. PestWranglers.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. My man Patrick takes songs from a soundtrack of a movie that inspired him or was relevant for some reason or another and plays those songs for us. And based on the selections that are played, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. Harge got it with the first selection today. He said Friday. I think the first you mentioned was, what did you say, like Superfly or something?
Well, I asked him if
Was
the song was Superfly.
Okay, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it is Superfly, but it wasn't in this movie, Superfly.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, man, I got you, dog.
But Harge got it. It is Friday, the iconic cult classic Friday. So my man Patrick will be playing jams from Friday. You can respond and have your questions, comments on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. We always appreciate your participation. But now it's time for the flex. Go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. You can go there and go check out some of the old Wednesday night flex. And speaking of the flex, I'm assuming, do we get our flex tonight? Do we get a flex?
Yes.
I don't never know.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
probably should ask Patrick that before the show or in the break. I always put him on the spot there. But yes, we will have a Wednesday Night Flex. You can go check out the old Wednesday Night Flex shows, the older ones, in the at the FLXATX.com website. You can go check those out. But tonight, we'll give you an update on exactly what to expect from the Wednesday Night Flex later on in what's on tap. But tonight, you'll get your Wednesday Night Flex with the crew. And they're deep, too. I mean, they get deeper every time I see them.
Yep.
So check that out at FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms.
And we also know that baseball season is coming to an end, as is softball. Softball playoffs begin next week. Baseball playoffs, they're all wrapping up this week, and we'll know a lot more as that starts to pick up as well. There's been a lot of good baseball, a lot of extra inning games across the area, and we'll find out more here leading into the weekend as playoffs start for all of the districts starting next week.
All right, there you go. A little flex update for you. Like I said, tonight you'll get your extended flex with the Wednesday Night Flex and the crew. All right, we come back. We'll get into the NFL. We'll talk NFL draft. Bijan Robinson specifically, he made the rounds, went on NFL Live, NFL Network. We'll play that audio. If you're a Cowboys fan, this may be tough for you to stomach. And we have a Cowboys fan right here with my man Harge. We'll get his thoughts about what he hears and what Bijan had to say about his draft process so far. And also we'll talk about the Texans. Could the Texans be tanking again? All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team. If you have any concerns about your dental health or your dental hygiene, you need to reach out to Dr. Greg Eckert and his great team because they can handle any concerns about dental anxiety. They actually specialize in easing your dental anxiety. General dentistry, teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure that you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his all-star team are all about. As a matter of fact, first time that I met Dr. Greg Eckert, actually, he was, just meeting him. We were talking, having some fun, and actually I met one of his patients, and she actually had tears in her eyes when I first met her. I thought to myself, man, going to the dentist is really stressful. This woman is crying. She's really hurt. A lot of pain. Got to be involved. Nope, turns out I was wrong. There were tears of joy. She was crying because she had looked in the mirror, and Dr. Greg Eckert and his team had given her the smile that she always wanted. She had never seen her smile look so beautiful, and Dr. Greg Eckert can give you the same thing. He understands that a beautiful smile can really affect and truly change your life. A confident smile, especially these days in the Instagram world that we live in. And right now, he can give you a brand new smile in just one day, permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You get temporary fixtures until they complete your permanent smile, and you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, call Dr. Greg Eckert today to learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day. It's a complimentary consultation, so you got nothing to lose but everything to gain. Give them a call, 512-345-3166. That's 512-345-3166. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. U. Dr. U, that's dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. My man Harge is all about this jam right here. You can tell.
All day, baby.
Yeah, you can tell. This brings him back
Ooh,
to his
does
prime.
it ever.
Yeah.
Does it up.
It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick, the real MVP, he takes jams from a soundtrack that inspired him, and then he plays selections from that soundtrack for us. And based on the songs that are played, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints and guess the featured film of midweek movie music. Harge got it on the first try today, and it is Friday. Well, it ain't Friday, but the movie
It
is
feels
Friday.
like it.
Yeah, you ain't got no job. You ain't got
nothing else to do.
I
That's
love
right.
it. Yeah, it's great, man. Friday, iconic film. Still laugh just thinking about some of the scenes from Friday. When was the last time you watched the movie Friday?
It was
The
on
original.
just the other day, but
Was
I
it
was
really?
clicking through and I watched
I
a
know,
little
it's been
bit
a
of
while.
it. Yeah.
I guess I might
I
have
caught
to go
the
back
end of
and-
it because it was when Debo was fighting, when they were fighting Debo. And it was like, it's almost over,
I was
so I'm going to go
glad
ahead
so
and
much
watch
over.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't catch it at that point.
No, you can't.
But it is a great film. So my man Pat, you said the anniversary of Friday is this?
Yes, it's
this
today.
week? It's today.
It is today. It
Oh,
came
there you go.
out this day, 1995.
Oh man, I wonder. I can go look it up. How much it cost to make that film, as opposed to how much compared to how much it made. But I guarantee you, it didn't cost much at all to make. I mean, it was pretty much a kind of a, it looked kind of a ground roots effort, if you will. To try to
It
make that
says
film.
Budget $3.5 million, box office
so-
$27 million.
That's more expensive than I thought. Actually, at $3-something million. It was probably more salaries than anything else.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
when you got Chris Tucker in
Yeah,
there, you
so
got
that's-
some of these other people that
so
are in
maybe
there.
that was it. But man, it was definitely a cult classic. And then how many Friday sequels did we get
we
officially?
got 3.
Is it 3?
It was 3.
I've seen all of them, but I
Me
definitely
too. It
lose
was
count.
3.
I definitely lost count. And
Friday After Next and what is it, the last Friday or something like that? Yeah.
you would know better than me.
Because I seen them all.
I have seen them all. Friday
Yeah.
After the Next is still pretty funny.
Oh, my goodness. Mike Epps.
I do think they like most iconic all-time great comedies. The comedic factor it decreases.
Mm-hmm.
The more sequels, the deeper you get into the sequels.
I would agree with that.
It's tough to make that a funnier. Has there been a
It's Friday, next Friday, and Friday After Next.
also next Friday is Friday After Next is the
last
least
one.
funniest of
Right,
all of them,
right.
and it is the last.
Right,
which makes
it's the
sense.
last one.
All right. Friday is the movie for midweek movie music. You can be a part of the show. You're the heartbeat of this thing, 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick at It's Patrick Davis. And I'm at Rod Bayers. What you got coming up for the people on Harge Knock Live?
We got boots on the ground in Kansas City where the draft is happening. Our boy Steve Foster is going to join us from Kansas City and lets us know about some of the things that are going on in KC as the draft is getting ready to
My
happen.
man False, man.
You know he gonna give it to
great.
us.
Yeah, I love False. Good people. All right, let's get to Bijan Robinson. Also good people. Lifetime Longhorn. Well, hell, legendary lifetime Longhorn.
Yes,
You
that
can
would
throw
put
him
him
in
there.
that category
You can
as
put him
well.
there.
And
Hey,
he,
before you get into it,
yes.
because he didn't win one of those awards, he can't get his trophy. I mean, his number retired, can he?
No, I don't think officially. I do think
Right.
they're like real rules about that.
Right,
stuff.
they're
like strict rules about it.
You have to
Win a national award
Yes.
of some kind.
Right.
He might have won.
He won a Doak Walker.
So yeah. So
I mean, does that count though?
I don't know
because
if you can retire.
Ricky,
I don't know if you
yeah,
can retire a number for that.
Right.
I think you can that's something that can be done to obviously honor him. But I
Recognize him.
don't know if you can retire a number for
Right.
just
That's
the
what I'm
Doak
saying.
Walker.
You got to win something.
You got to win like the Heisman
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
to retire the
Okay.
number.
Yeah.
I go look and do some research exactly what the
I think there's
criteria is for retiring a number.
Yeah.
But definitely it's got to be more than winning the dope. Because then Deontay Foreman's like, wait, you ain't gonna retire my number, man?
Where am I? Where am I?
I got 2
Sam
Gs.
B got 2 of them,
I
right?
win 2 G's. Yeah.
And Sam B won 2 of them.
I think, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, yeah, it's more than that. I just
Yeah.
don't know exactly what the criteria is, but I can still call him a legendary lifetime Longhorn. We can still do that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I was thinking about that the
No?
other day, and I was like, well, because of what he's done and what he's meant for this university and how he's recognizable and everything that we've talked about him, but he had to win that award to be able to be recognized, I think.
Yeah, he had to win the Heisman, and
Yeah.
the only way for him to win the Heisman last year, for him to have just cartoonish Wilt Chamberlain-like stats at running back,
Yep.
which, by the way, he is capable of. And I love Sark, but Coach Steven.
I
It
knew
wasn't
that.
Sark. It was
That's
Coach
what I was
Steven.
waiting on. That's
when
what I
he
was waiting
got
on.
0 targets in the game versus TCU.
Yeah.
The Bama game, he actually had, I think, more big plays in the receiving game
He did.
than as a runner. And those were like marquee games. Oklahoma game was a big game.
Yep.
But that was the nationally televised games where people got to see Bijan
Yep.
nationally around the country. He wasn't showcased enough, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I think that TCU game was a big game. That Bama game was a big game. That Oklahoma game, not Oklahoma, was a big game, and he showed out.
Yep.
But I think you need to have more of those Heisman moments. I don't think he had enough of them. So that's basically why he
Okay.
didn't get enough love in the Heisman campaign. But he definitely had enough talent to win it. And that's something that a lot of NFL teams coming up tomorrow are going to be weighing that NFL talent. They're going to be deciding what the value is of the running back and the value of Bijan. So he's making his rounds, gentlemen. He went on NFL Network and also on NFL Live. This first sound comes from him on NFL Network, and I believe he was with Andrew Siciliano, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
He asked him about basically all the buzz about the Philadelphia Eagles. Sorry, Harch. Because there's now a lot of buzz about him and the Eagles. Here is Bijan Robinson on NFL Network.
Did you get a good feel?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for both teams that I visited, with the Eagles, it was an amazing visit. Coaches to GM to the janitor, the staff. I mean, everybody there was just amazing. And just even me just building those relationships throughout the draft process, with those guys, it's been awesome. But yeah, man, I mean, every team that I talked to has been amazing, and I think that now I'm just really excited to see where I'm going to end up in these next couple of days.
The other visit was Tampa. Let's throw the Falcons question out there. We had one guy up there saying you, Chad Ryder, could go to the Falcons at 8. That one seems to be gaining some late momentum, Bijan. Do you feel that? Do you feel that at all?
Yeah. I mean, even the Falcons, that's a great organization. Great coaches. I had a chance to meet with them as well, and it was an awesome meeting. So I kind of see where that's going in, and where that's headed at. But obviously, like I said, for me, we just don't know. We can have a surprise, or we can, anything can happen. But I just know that God's going to put me in the right team, right position, and it's going to be fun wherever I'm at.
All right. So he did bring up the Eagles, talked about them, but he talked about the teams that he visited with, the Eagles, Tampa Bay. Also, Andrew Siciliano brought up the Falcons, which have become the latest. I believe they have right now the best odds based on the Vegas odds to draft Bijan at number 8. But that's kind of a lately thing. That is actually something that's more recent. But the Eagles have been a team that has been discussed when talking about where Bijan Robinson is going to end up and where he's going to be drafted since day one. Hell, I even said I brought it up when we started first discussing Bijan to the NFL and his draft stock and the odds, and I said, man, the NFL better hope he doesn't go to the Eagles.
Yep.
And it looks like right now there's a lot of buzz about him going to the Eagles, and the Eagles are even considering, especially if they had him in on a visit. So, listen, Hard, you're a Longhorn fan and also a Cowboys fan.
Which my life is a struggle.
So you got a hard decision to make here, because can we all agree that what would be best for Bijan would be to go to the Eagles?
Agreed.
If they got the best O-line in the league, they got a running quarterback, and you would put him in the same backfield, and they got 2,000-yard wide receivers. Other than Kansas City, I don't know if there's a better location for Bijan than Philadelphia. But you're a Cowboys fan as well, and you'd be in the same division going against Bijan. So what is best for Bijan is bad for your Cowboys.
Yeah, I wouldn't know Bijan anymore. There would be no love for Bijan anymore.
Can you reconcile that?
No.
So you don't want what's best for Bijan?
I don't.
You don't want what's best for Bijan.
I can't do it. I cannot do it. First thing this morning, my sister-in-law sends me a text of that interview. We're on a thread, and I see it. And she was like, yeah, because she's from Jersey. She's an Eagle. And I told her, I was like, y'all can have him. If that's the case, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Wow, you're going to renounce your allegiance to Bijan like Patrick did to the Texans?
Yeah, because I can do it to an individual.
Wow.
can't
You
do
love
it.
Bijan, though. You were just talking about trying to get his number retired.
He's so great.
And now you're going to just
But if
turn
he's
your
an
back
ego,
on him? Oh, like
I can't even look at him in the eye anymore.
Okay, I know a lot of our listeners are in the same boat you're in. They're
They
Longhorn fans / Cowboys fans. I think we discussed it. There are like 3 or 4 teams that if Bijan goes there, they're instantly Super Bowl favorites, in my opinion.
Yeah, he
the
might have the
Eagles
greatest
are right-
career ever.
Exactly. He's embarking on a Hall of Fame career already. So Longhorn fans / Cowboys fans, a lot of y'all out there, if going to the Eagles is best for Bijan, but we know it's bad for the Cowboys, do you want what's best for Bijan? Or if you don't want what's best for Bijan, are you willing, like Harsh, to turn your back on Bijan as a Longhorn fan if he does indeed get drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know. 512-337-3776. I want to know.
Yeah, I think y'all feel.
I thought you was going to say, I thought you were actually going to go the other way. I thought you were going to go, now Bijan's always, he's a Longhorn, and I can never turn my back on Bijan. You're saying soon as that draft card goes down, the Eagles pick him up, you're done.
He is no longer cool to me during football season.
Oh, now you changed it. So off season.
Hey, what up, dog? Man, you did your thing this year. Man, then they were like, hey, man, he's reporting to camp. Cut him off.
So mini camp, or are we going training
We going mini camp. We doing all of it, man.
OTAs.
As soon as the car goes across the stage, they said Philadelphia Eagles select, and I hear Bijan Robinson. Can't do it. You're done, son.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. Can't coach with him.
Can't coach
Can't win with him.
I would love to win with him.
Oh, you can win with him.
Can't win against him.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, too, is if you hear that at number 7, the Las Vegas Raiders have traded their pick to the Philadelphia Eagles, you're walking out then because you know what's coming.
I mean, it better not come that way either.
If you hear that, you know.
Oh.
Yes.
I hope that connection happens. That's great.
Well, if as long as it's not the Eagles.
No, but I'm saying I don't think he falls to 10. I think what we've seen, I don't think he gets to 10. I think
that's
8.
true.
I think he's going to 8 if he's going, because you don't hear the Falcons. There's not a lot of rumors about a lot of other picks at number 8.
Which is good for those other teams.
So if all quarterbacks are taken before pick 7, so the Raiders do not have their quarterback, all 4 of the main guys have been picked by number 7. I think the Raiders make a phone call to every team and go, hey, and they call the Eagles and they call the Cowboys and go, hey, this is what the Eagles are giving. They're about to win the next 4 Super Bowls. You want to make a counteroffer? And they call the Commanders and they'll call everybody and just go, hey.
In that division, call them
And
all.
they'll call anybody and just go, look, the Eagles are about to run it out. We all know. We've all heard we all know. So, hey, y'all want it? Come give us what we want for number 7.
That's a great way. You should be a GM. That's how you do business. That's it. You use these circumstances and the leverage you have, and like, hey man, y'all want Bijan. And not only if you want Bijan, do you want to keep him away from the team that may dominate this conference potentially for the next 3 or 4 years while he's on the rookie deal?
Yep.
You might want to take care of that.
Because they're giving us enough to move back to 10.
No, that's a great idea. Honestly, yeah, that is. I love that theory right there. That's money.
So that's it. But again, I'll tell you, if all 4 quarterbacks go before the Raiders pick at 7, then 7 gets traded for Bijan. If not, I think it goes 8. But it depends on if Will Levis is there or Anthony Richardson is there,
and
or
all the talk is that
for whatever
Will
reason
Levis
C.J. Stroud is there.
Will Levis stock is rising, and Bryce Young expected to be gone. The C.J. Stroud is interesting because he's the one that may drop. Unfortunately,
he may drop,
right
but
now.
I don't see C.J. Stroud going. Do you see Seattle not taking C.J.
No,
Stroud
or Anthony
at 5,
Richardson.
or Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, I feel like I'm with you. I feel like there's going to be a run on QBs.
So someone's going to. So if they're all
Early.
gone, now the Raiders don't have a guy that they need to take there, because if a quarterback's there, they're taking a quarterback.
So get
for
value.
Sure. So get value. Trade back into next year's draft, and then you go, man, maybe we'll have more picks in next year's, and then we can go try and tank this year,
Get Caleb
do whatever,
Williams.
and get Caleb Williams or
Drake
Drake May. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with. Yeah, that's nice. I like that one. I know it's silly season, man. The more I hear, the less I know.
Yeah.
That's basically that's the motto of
We'll
silly
know
season.
everything by tomorrow.
And we'll
now.
know everything by tomorrow. Okay, so
And I don't know if I'm still going to be a Bijan fan or not.
it's true. Well, you may not be because this next piece of sound is pretty hard to stomach.
And I will say, the texter's right, too. He technically could go at 6. There's not as much rumors that Detroit wants to take him that early.
Yes.
But there is rumors that Detroit really like Bijan, too. So there is a possibility that he goes at 6 to Detroit.
And that's a top 5 offense in the NFL. That's top 5 right there. People don't, because nobody watches Detroit except for me, Fancy Boots, and Chip
Harge,
Brown.
If he goes to Detroit, is that now your side piece?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
if he goes to Detroit,
yeah. Because I'm already a fan of Detroit. I'm already a fan of what is going on with the Detroit Lions and where they're headed and how are
Dan
they.
Campbell.
Yes,
Fighting Dan Campbell.
he's biting kneecaps even though he's an Aggie. But if you look at the way that they played for him, you believe in those guys.
No,
You
they
believe
do.
in them.
They play hard, and all they got to do is kind of reinvent that defense because that offense, like I said, it's top 5. It's top 5 without a Bijan, adding a Bijan to it, and it gets even scarier. This is scarier
People
for
said
Cowboys
now
fans.
I'm persona non grata.
See? Yeah, hard. Come on, man. Can't be disrespecting Bijan, disowning
See?
Bijan.
Everybody said Bijan who?
Bijan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Oh, no, that NFL allegiance is strong. It's strong, as Pac-Man would say. Okay, let's get to this sound. This is Bijan on NFL Live. Dan Orlovsky asked Bijan a question. Sorry about this, Cowboys fans. Maybe earmuffs on this one. Here it is.
You cannot answer Patrick Mahomes in this, okay? If you could pick any quarterback in the NFL to line up with and go play with, who would it be?
Shoot, there's a lot of great quarterbacks.
You got to pick one, and you can't say Patrick.
Jalen Hurts.
Nice. Hey,
Yeah.
what would that look
I'll
like?
say, hold it real quick. If you went to Philly, I would pick you to be the offensive rookie of the year because of the zone read.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Love it. I mean, along those lines, what was your meeting like with the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was great. I mean, with both teams that I was with, you know, just even building relationships with the coaches, the support staff, the GM, even the janitor. Like, the janitor was super cool too. It was like an awesome visit. And for me, like, I pride myself in relationships and building those relationships and understanding who people are. So even when I was at the Eagles, at the Buccaneers, and even just talking to other teams as well, it's been such a fun process, understanding who those people are and just having a good time throughout the whole process. But yeah, it was a good time there. But obviously I can't choose, and Thursday we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, Bijan, I hope people who have watched your play and become a fan of who you are as a football player can come away, even just from this short interview, and see a little bit more about who you are as a person. We appreciate you spending the time with us here and cannot wait to see you in Kansas City. Congratulations on everything.
Good luck, man. Congrats.
There he is. Harge, how about this little report before I give you the floor? Per NFL Network insider James Palmer got this from Pro Football Network. He said he's spoken to executives around the league who don't want to think about the sight of Bijan Robinson falling to the Eagles. He said, quote, I'll just say this. A couple of NFC teams I talked to this weekend do not, in all caps, he said, do not want the Eagles to draft Bijan Robinson. They believe that will make this offense beyond scary. Remember, Peter King also jumped on the Bijan bandwagon recently in his Football Morning in America piece, said the same thing. He said Bijan Robinson to the Eagles makes them the most lethal offense in the league. That also goes to Patrick's point, too, this Palmer report that you could use Bijan as leverage. If you don't want Bijan, there may be a lot of teams that may be willing to make a deal. Harge, your thoughts, because he said Jalen Hurts, the guy that he wanted to play for, not Dak Prescott, who is the most tenured of any quarterback in the league on the team he's on, and he did exclude Patrick Mahomes because that would have been too damn easy.
Well, the simple fact of the matter is they have the same agent, so he did the right thing by saying that I would much rather play with Jalen Hurts. That way our agent can be together. See, he didn't finish it. He said, we just want to make it easy for our agent to negotiate.
Conspiracy theories, huh?
Conspiracy
You
theory.
need something, huh?
But I'm
Yeah.
sitting here thinking about this, man. And Jay Fizzle, you are correct. He is a great dude. While we were listening to it, I looked at Rod and I was like, he's so doggone nice, man.
He's so nice.
How can you not root for him? I cannot. If he goes to the Eagles.
What you just said?
I mean, he is a great guy. Monday through Friday and even on Saturday, I will root for him. But if he's at the Eagles, I cannot root for him on Sunday, Monday, or Thursdays if they have games. And anytime they play the Cowboys, because my Cowboys are where I am, even though I tried to leave and go to the Chargers for a little bit.
Your side piece
My
there?
side, man, you told me, your side piece can't be.
She can't be hotter than your main thing, whatever, your woman, whatever, your man, whatever.
I'm riding it out, man. I'm going to ride it out. I wrote it out last year. I wrote it out, but I can't do it. I'm sorry, Bijan. You're a great human being. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to get no Mustardson because of you. I'm not even going because if it goes to Philly, it's going to be a green bottle. Can't deal with that.
They're going to put an eagle on.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to fly high over there. Can't do it.
Yeah,
can't do it.
I will tell you, I do think this might tell you too that he's been told he's not going lower than 10. That the Eagles have told him, like, look, if you're still there at 10, we'll take you. And if the other team who was ahead of him that might take him, he's not saying Desmond Ritter.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't matter how many questions you ask him.
Exactly.
The Falcons could be like, you are our pick. No matter what, it ain't. We're taking you. He's not going to be like, yeah, Desmond Ritter, who I want to play with.
Yeah.
He ain't going to say that.
No, that was right. Hard to the agent thing. That was smart, too. I guess that's the one that pops in your
And you
your
see
mind.
it was hesitant, too. He was thinking, that's a hard question. Then
when you take
his
Mahomes
agent
out
was
of
like, you know that he's our client, too.
But I do think people want to play with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts,
for sure. He's a cool dude. He's another good dude.
He's a good dude. He's got that dog in him.
Yes.
And after that Super Bowl performance, now people are jumping on the bandwagon saying, no, it wasn't just an outlier. This guy may be the real deal. Here are a couple of audio pieces, audio cuts from Jalen Hurts before we get to the Hard Knock Life here that made me more of a Jalen Hurts fan. And remember, when Jalen Hurts was drafted, people hated that draft pick. I remember going on the air the next day and saying, I like that draft pick, actually, because I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's got a high ceiling as long as he improves as a passer, which he did, and they use him the right way, which they did. I think it'd work out for the Eagles. I had no idea he would become like a Super Bowl quarterback in like 3 years. I don't think anybody knew that was going to happen.
Right.
But I did like the pick. And remember, he's lost to the Cowboys, I believe, when they lost to the Cowboys, and they asked him how he was going to handle it. This quote from Jalen Hurts actually ended up making me more of a Jalen Hurts fan, too. Here it is.
I take responsibility for how this game went tonight. I take responsibility for that. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to learn from it. We're going to be a better team from it. I believe that. I truly believe that. You know, you take you a deuce, you don't sit there and look at it. You flush it and move on. We're going to flush it and move on.
That's when I figured out he's kind of a soundbite, too. I don't pay attention a lot in Philly, but he's got some sound bites. This early in his career, he's already given you some real good nuggets. Here's another one. This was actually from the Super Bowl, I believe. There's a reporter, and much like a lot of you out there, this reporter was humbled by the play of Jalen Hurts and didn't think Jalen Hurts was capable of being a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Here is the reporter and the interaction that Jalen Hurts has with the reporter who's trying to acknowledge how humbled he's been by his performance.
The Eagles would get to the Super Bowl with you as their quarterback.
You're not the only one.
Well, I just wanted to say man to man, I'm sorry.
Cool.
In case you missed, the dude just said basically like, hey, man, I never thought you would be able to get to a Super Bowl as a quarterback. And I just wanted to tell you, man to man, I'm sorry, I was wrong about that.
Right.
He's like,
He
cool.
said, cool.
Cool.
I wasn't even worried about you because
cool.
I'm worried about what I got going on.
I appreciate you acknowledging that. The last one here, and this is most recently when they asked about him becoming the highest paid quarterback in the NFL with his brand new contract, blockbuster deal. Here is a simple response to Jalen Hurts being asked about being the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Money is nice. Championships are better.
Damn.
There it is.
Man.
Money's nice. Championships are better.
You're a fan. That gives you chills right there.
That gives you chills, but man, I'll tell you right now, that is something you can say when you have a team that gave you all of the weapons and made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That is a lot harder to say when they're like, hey, man, why don't you take a pay cut? You're like, because my team ain't going to spend the money.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson ain't saying that.
Yeah, they ain't giving me like, it don't help me. I can give them a pay cut. You know what they'll do? Nothing.
Yeah, that's a great point. No, he's got I think he's got the second best GM in the league. I think Brett Veach for Kansas City is the best GM in the league. I think Howie Roseman's the second best GM in the league, and you can make the case that Howie Roseman's the best GM in the league.
Yeah,
easily make that case.
All right, my man said he said as being a Texans fan, he'll root for Bijan for me because he's going to bull for him. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there you go. There'll be a lot of people rooting for Bijan, man, because he's going to be fun to watch in the league. I think he's going to be the best running back in the league potentially. If he goes to the Eagles, depending on the team he goes to, best running back as soon as he gets there. The fantasy rankings, which come out almost weekly, even before teams drafted, they already have him as the top 3 fantasy player in the league already.
Yeah, if he goes to the Texans, watch that drop.
Amen. Amen.
All right, maybe top 15.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
That's true. All right, Harsh, what you got coming up on Harsh Knock Life?
We got our man Steve Foster going to talk to us about what's going down in Kansas City. He's in town for the draft, and he's boots on the ground on all the happenings in Kansas City.
I like that. All right, my man Foss coming up next right here on Harsh Knock Life on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We know Austin is a beautiful city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of our friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, folks. They build it. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. And like I said, right now they're hiring over 3,000 people. I've been telling you this for a while. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you're looking for something fresh, something new, you've been frustrated with your work choices and your career path, how about a brand new career with Ironworkers Local Union 482? You can become a member and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. They're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right now in Central Texas, and you can become a member of Ironworkers Local Union 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org.
Welcome back to the midweek movie-themed edition of Ball Don't Lie, and our movie of the week is Friday, which came out how many years ago, Patrick?
It came out in 1995.
There you go. My man Patrick is doing a great job as always. You can follow me on Twitter at HardballHard. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And, of course, you can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. Also, we love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. And joining us on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline is our main man from Laying Down the Law. Sunday morning, 7 to 9 in San Antonio. It's the one and only Steve Foster. You can follow him at Foss_sports. And he just happens to be in Kansas City, walking around the city, finding out what's going on with tomorrow's draft. What's up, Foss? How you doing, brother?
Up? I didn't know if I should come in with the Chris Tucker, man, if you were talking about Friday, or coming with that touchdown Kansas City. But either way, hardball, it's an exciting 2-3 days to be able to see these dreams just start. You know, people say, oh, this is the culmination. No, it's just the beginning. You know this. Yeah, you work to become a professional, what have you, be it an athlete, a doctor, a lawyer, but then the real work gets done as you then build that legacy. And everyone today, as a prospect, was excited for that.
No doubt about it. And I know that this is the time that everybody's talking about Bijan Robinson. We're talking about DeMarvion Overshown. We're actually talking about University of Texas players that will be drafted in this NFL draft. This will be the first round pick offensive first round pick since I believe Vince Young was drafted when he was coming out of college. But when you're in Kansas City, the energy is probably at an all-time high. What are you hearing so far since you've been there?
Okay, so this is the crazy one because these draft days coming up and the hours coming up, all of a sudden this guy, Will Levis, seems to be materializing. Like all of a sudden, oh, we missed this guy, and now he's, projected as the highest quarterback. I just have no idea. But that's the wackiness of the draft.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Hey, Foss, let me ask you about the festivities there when you got boots on the ground there. The NFL is trying to turn their draft, obviously keeping it on the move. They're trying to turn it into almost a festival. They want it to become a football festival and take it to different cities. What's the vibe there, and have you heard any talk about what types of numbers are expected in terms of the attendance of people who are going to attend the draft there in Kansas City?
Well, Ron, I think the NFL is now the professional sports P.T. Barnum, the greatest show on earth. They occupy 11 out of 12 months. We all know that. And I went to school relatively close in this area. Midwesterners are very loyal. So just the locals, especially when you have it in the city of the defending champions as well. I think it's going to be alive and well. I think the weather is not going to be too cold for folks in the Midwest. At the very least, it gets to high 40s, but that's plenty warm for people that are used to sub-zero temperatures, and they're going to be excited.
Foss, I wanted to ask you this. I mean, being a good friend to Jason Garrett and always being at the Dallas Cowboy football games each week, doing your show from there, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and what they're expected to do at the number 26 position, we've heard variant of reports on what people think is going to happen, what should happen. What are you hearing from the Dallas Cowboy folks, and what position are they looking at pending at that number 26 pick?
Well, interestingly, you asked that. We actually caught up with CeeDee Lamb. He was out supporting the prospects today. And, man, you talk about an excited all-pro, all-star player for Dallas. And, we kind of looked at him and was kind of like, and he was like, I don't know. You know, he wasn't really sure what the organization was doing, but he said he was ready to play football or whatever they do. I mean, if you look at what Dallas would need, and I've heard this before, and I wouldn't do it, but the tight end to me is not a first-round pick, even though you lost Dalton Schultz. I wouldn't do that. If I'm looking at the Cowboys, I want an offensive line, maybe even a defensive back. But I would not, look for that offensive skill player right off the bat. That's a wow pick. I think you have enough there.
Well, False, it seems like we talk about Bijan Robinson as kind of the biggest wild card player in the draft in terms of where he's going to go. He's been mocked to so many different teams. The Texans are kind of the wild card team of the draft. Nobody has any idea what the Texans are going to do. Some say quarterback. They've been, I think, mocked with all three different quarterbacks that have been at the top of this draft. And now you have guys like Dan Orlovsky saying they want him to take Anthony Richardson as a quarterback at number 2. And also defensive end Will Anderson has been mocked to them as well. What are your thoughts about the Texans and what they're going to do?
Well, I can tell you, we talked to both of those guys today. Anthony Richardson doesn't look like a quarterback. He doesn't sound like a quarterback. He is so cool, calm, and collected. But Chris and I thought he looked like an edge rusher. Not that he's overweight, not that he's just a big boy. He's kind of like a McNair, Doug Williams type guy, not, a Jamar Russell. I mean, he's in shape, and he was so smooth. Well, Anderson was just kind of matter of fact, real excited to have the opportunity to get, selected in this first round and looking to contribute to the team. I've always enjoyed playing football, and I look forward to continuing. He, didn't concern himself about where he could go. But the Texans, you talk about Anthony Richardson, I think he's got the most upside because, Rod, if they say, well, he's got issues with accuracy. Well, that's why you go to practice. And if that's all you have to do, he's got the tools. Get him accurate, and his decision-making isn't bad. So with that, but then Will Anderson is a defensive, again, you played in the secondary. It makes it a lot easier to cover if the quarterback has less time to throw the ball.
We're talking to Stephen Foster. You can follow him at Foss_sports. He's also the host of Laying Down the Law. You can hear that in San Antonio as well, Sundays from 7 to 9 a.m. And Foss, you sit here and you look at this, and like you said it earlier, this is where it really begins for all of these players. They've worked hard to get to this point. Now you get an opportunity to play at the next level. When you're watching some of these guys, and you were around a bunch of them today, if you had to go in there and you said, this is going to be the number 2 pick going to the Houston Texans, and I've heard a lot of people bring up another guy from Texas Tech, Wilson, off the defensive end side. Not only just Will Anderson, but they've been talking about Wilson as well. What do you think if they were to go that route at number 2?
Well, my co-host Chris Fernandez loves Tyree Wilson. He thinks that he has a very good chance at being the number 2 overall pick. And again, defense wins championships. Bijan is going to be, I think, electrifying because one of the things I love about him is he's willing to block and he can catch the ball downfield. He's silly with the moves. He's not just a directional runner. He's stronger. But if you really want to win a championship, your defense is going to have to get a stop on third down, make that team not get an opportunity to score, but punt the ball away, maybe go for field position. You can't go wrong with having a defender be your selection, especially one that is disruptive. You don't have to sack a quarterback, as Rod knows. You don't have to get an interception. But if you mess up the timing, you put pressure on, and you knock passes down harmlessly to the turf, you've won.
Yeah, that's the important part of it, and we've talked about that a lot, about getting to the quarterback and messing up his time. And you don't necessarily have to sack him, but that defensive back will be able to make some plays behind him. So I wanted to ask you, now that you're in Kansas City, everything's starting to really get turned up there. What are y'all's plans for the night? What restaurants y'all gonna hit up? I know there's a lot going down and a lot of folks in town, and I know you're not afraid to network, my friend.
been networking. Y'all know that. And the great thing about that is, y'all, it allows us to expand what we do.
Right.
Because I'm winning, y'all win.
Yep.
We're staying with Brian McCray up here. You know, he's known the Kansas City area. It's funny because it's the 30th anniversary of his dad, Hal McCray, who was the World Series champ with George Brett, etc., as a manager in the phone rant.
Yep.
I don't know if
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, man.
So he says, well, man, we're going out with Christian Okoye. He wants to do something tonight. So there you go. I'm rolling with the Nigerian Nightmare.
There you go. I love that right there.
Right there.
And then what they call that.
I mean, we.
No, I was going to say, make sure it's a we.
Yeah, I won't leave out, but you never leave out your wingman, you know.
As the kids like to say, that was a low key flex right there. You know what I'm saying? That was a low key flex.
For sure.
Hey, Foss, as always, man, we love talking to you. Keep us posted on what's going on. Post some pictures and let us know what's going down.
Shall do. Absolutely. Anytime, you know, I'll catch y'all offline if it's able to help y'all out. Can't thank my peers in sports media to allow us to flow and vibe like we do. Much love to y'all. Y'all have a great show. Listeners, keep it up. Rod and Hardball do a great job. I listen to them all the time.
Appreciate you,
Thanks,
brother.
Foss. You the man.
Yeah, that's my man Foster, man. You know he about to have a good time because you know Foster. You know he used to be part of the Nebraska staff. He went to Princeton, played with Dean Cain, also played with Jason Garrett. So he's in the know. Went to school with Brooke Shields. I mean, the dude's in the middle of everything.
Yeah, he is, and he's a lawyer. On top of that, found time to go to law school and get his degree. No, Foster's always he's a true Renaissance man. He's always into something else. Every time I talk to him, he's got a new interest or a new hobby or a new business.
And if there's something going down, he's probably around.
Which explains why he's boots on the ground at the NFL draft right now. So thanks to my man Foss for coming on and giving us a little bit of the info, the 411, if you will, on what's happening at the NFL draft. All right, we come back. We have off the record on the other side, couple of stories that we'll get into and off the record before we hit the 5 o'clock hour. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Harge, I know you were concerned with rather, I guess you were not concerned, but you did bring up the point yesterday that in your analysis or breakdown of Aaron Rodgers and that trade to the Jets, that if he didn't show up to the mini camps, that would be a reason to be concerned if you're a Jets fan. Would mean that he's not all in.
He's not engaged.
He's not engaged.
He's not engaged to it.
He was introduced, and I think you're right about that, by the way. I think that's something we all need to monitor. That if he's really engaged and he wants to have chemistry, continuity with his receivers, get to know his team, he would show up at the mini camps at least. But he's been a diva lately and hadn't had to do that. Yep. But he's arrived at the New York Jets facility and is already meeting with the media.
Come on, man.
Came face-to-face with the New York media for the first time as a Jet, and the whole presser was short and to the point as the Packer answered questions for just over 15 minutes. Tomorrow, we'll get a lot of sound of this press conference, or as much as we can. It's only 15 minutes of sound. But
he didn't even wear a suit, dog. He just they gave him a shirt when he walked in, gave him one of the polos.
He did not wear. That's true. No, it is. It is so true. You can tell with the picture. You can tell that they just gave him a shirt with the Jets logo on it. It was like, hey, put
this on real quick.
Get this on real quick, man. He had like a hoodie on when he first walked in. Like, nah, bro, you put this on for us?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I don't know if that means anything. He's casual. He's casual. He's a casual guy.
Yeah, he's a cool cat.
He's a casual dude. That's just the way it goes. But I don't know. I'm starting to think more and more. I'm going to root for success here.
Yep.
I think it's good for the NFL because the trend for a long time was if you are a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, even on the cusp or even in that debatable Hall of Fame category, then you would change teams every now and then, right?
Absolutely.
They would change teams every now and then. Actually, the quarterback circle of life would often end with them on another team.
It would force you to move around.
Yes, but it would not be a graceful exit for them, right? It's usually, they're at the end of their career and they don't have that one last hurrah. Joe Montana did against the Oilers,
right?
Because anybody would do that against
everybody
the Oilers.
Has that
with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
But lately, we've seen these aging Hall of Fame quarterbacks go to other teams and have a ton of success. And I don't know if you said Matt Stafford's a Hall of Famer, but he's in the conversation.
He earned his way in there.
You got Tom Brady. You got Matt Stafford. Before that, it was just Peyton Manning in recent years that did it too. I hope it becomes more of a thing. I'm hoping Aaron Rodgers will be successful, and then it'll become more of a thing where an aging quarterback who we know now these quarterbacks are aging gracefully because they're playing better in their twilight, if you will, of their careers. I hope it works out because I want to see that movement more and more to give teams a chance to go all in or have opportunities like the Jets. I mean, you're talking about the longest playoff drought in major American team sports right now.
And one that everybody wants to see in the playoffs.
We all want to see.
When they made the announcement that he officially got traded, Rex Ryan went on TV in a Jets jacket and was holding up his conference championship rings. And I'm like, you didn't even win the championship because y'all didn't go to the Super Bowl.
Hey,
so what ring do you have on? But Greeny has been going nuts for this moment. And if you know anybody that's a Jets fan or a Giants fan or anybody in that upper East Coast, they are passionate about their squads. And for them to have this opportunity, as much as I dislike him as an individual, he is one of the best quarterbacks this league has ever seen. And now he's going to have weapon upon weapon upon weapon.
That's gonna
and
be
didn't
scary.
they say when there was a trade that was made that was one of the highest draft picks that he got a chance to play with this past year?
Yeah.
It was like, what?
Oh, no,
in his entire career, he's never had a first-round wide receiver That's crazy to me.
The Packers, they believe in drafting wide receivers in the middle to late rounds.
Right.
And it's worked out really well for them as an organization. But, yes, if you're a quarterback, you would be complaining about that.
And now you have some talent upon you.
Well, now you got Garrett Wilson. You got one of the best wide receivers in the league.
He did have Devontae Adams for a few years.
He didn't know he was a second-round pick, though.
He was a second-round pick. Let's not take away. He
Yes.
did have Devontae Adams, who was arguably the best wide receiver in the league for a couple
No,
years.
I'm not disagreeing because the Jordy Nelsons and people they turned into elite wide
they work
receiver
together
ones.
well.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that. It's about kind of the details in that criticism, because if it sounds real bad, but if you paid attention, the Packers developed those wide receivers pretty good, and it helps to have an all-pro quarterback to do it.
That does help.
So I'm rooting for it, and I also think it's going to work. I think they'll make the playoffs. How about that? They'll end their playoff drought.
That'll be fair.
That's as far as I'm willing to go. I won't say they're going to win the Super Bowl. Or
Well, we
anything like
know they won't, because he's had other teams where they've gotten to there and he didn't make things happen.
That's true.
Yeah, Mercedes Lewis was the one that was the first-round pick, and he was just with the squad, and that was the first-rounder that they got.
Like he's tight
the
end.
tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first-rounder that he got a chance to throw to.
It's crazy.
It is
okay,
crazy.
real quick here. The game-winning shot by Ice Trey, as you call him, Trey Young.
Ice Trey.
Apparently, it disrupted a Janet Jackson tour.
Oh,
Janet Jackson's still touring.
Oh, man, she's making a comeback, man.
Apparently, Janet Jackson's Together Again tour was originally scheduled to take place at State Farm Arena on Thursday, but attendees were informed by email that the show has been postponed one day to accommodate the Hawks due to the Atlanta Hawks playoff game. The Janet Jackson show, originally scheduled for Thursday, April 27th at State Farm Arena, has been moved to Friday because basically they're going to continue to play to keeping hope alive. And now her tour, the Janet Jackson Together Again tour, who is she to?
Together Again.
Who
is it? Who's she together with?
Hold up. So, exactly. Who is she reuniting with? Who's Together Again? Or just all of us? I mean, I don't know. I thought if it's the Jacksons, then I get it. But it's just Janet Jackson Together Again. Anyway, so they're moving that show. They're going to allow people to have refunds. But, yeah, Trey Young, I guess they did not expect to be playing this deep, or at least when they were scheduling the different events at that facility, they did not expect the Hawks to be playing this deep.
Neither did they. Neither did the Hawks.
Hey,
Together Again is one of her songs.
Ooh, Together.
Okay.
That's not one of her popular songs, is it?
It's an international hit single from The Velvet Rope that came out in 1997.
I don't think that's that's not even the most famous song from The Velvet Rope. Right? There's way more songs more famous on The Velvet Rope.
That is what the internet is telling me, though.
The Way Love Goes Down the Velvet Rope. That's the way love goes.
That would have been it.
That's the way love. Is that on the Velvet Rope?
I like that one. She's touring with Ludacris.
Yeah, she's touring with Ludacris.
Oh. They're together again? Are they reuniting and it feels so good?
Hey, Luda's
Janet
back,
and
baby.
Luda?
Yeah, Luda's back.
Wow. Okay.
It'd be
got a
funny if it was
movie?
Justin Timberlake.
That would have been perfect.
There you go.
I think more people would have bought into it.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake wants nothing to do with Janet Jackson. He distanced himself long ago.
Quickly.
Did she ever play that song? What song did they do together? I don't
It was a
forget now.
Timberlake song, right?
Huh? I don't even remember what song it was now.
It was the I'm Heavy Naked by the End of the Song.
I don't even remember this. I just remember the
like
nipple.
that one,
I don't
yeah.
remember the song.
Yeah, because
The
I remember
nipple
because that was the whole point. He's like, I'm Heavy Naked by the End of the Song, and he acquiesced.
He looked that up.
That's why people thought that it was an inside job.
Yeah, they were like, you said you were going to do it, and then you did it.
And then it happened. There you go.
And
Janet Jackson.
Janet is coming here to the Moody Center June 4th. Janet
With Luda?
Jackson. Luda.
With Luda's going to be there
Hey,
too?
Together Again. That's who it says she touring with.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How old is Janet? Janet's got to be close to 60 now.
50. I heard somebody talking about
She
it
had a
earlier.
baby
56.
at 50.
Oh,
She
yeah.
had like a baby at 50 years old or something. I'm not making that
And
up.
there
It was like
there
she
was a
almost 50.
reason why. There was a reason why she had the baby too. Like I think her husband was royalty, and that's the only way. Something happened. I'll get you the story because I watched a expose on it.
On her
Yes.
her child?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, she's got a 5-year-old son.
Yep. And
Wow.
he is he's like a big time. I don't want to say emperor, But they got a big
emperor.
I don't
That'd
want it,
be
but it's
so
very,
cool
but it's
if he's
pretty
an
close to
emperor.
that.
They call him a Qatari businessman.
Yeah,
He's emperor.
but hey, but he got big paper.
Okay.
He got big paper.
Maybe he's treated like royalty.
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
At least in the crib.
At least, Janet Jackson's 56. She had a child at like 50 years old. Like I
Yeah,
said.
their family owns 55 companies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's royal, bro.
Yeah, some royal. If they ain't royal, they got some royalties.
He's definitely an aristocrat,
Yes,
if anything.
yes.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into some NBA review and preview of the games tonight. Coming up right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Everyone knows by now my go-to tequila. My favorite tequila is Hot Cat Tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just as simple and brilliant. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's every tequila lover's dream. And if you're not a fan of tequila, well, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. And matter of fact, you don't even have to like tequila to love Hot Cat Tequila. That's how good it is. It'll turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you'll never go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. Turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. Best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit Cat Tequila, that's cattequila.com, to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. See, this is the song that Harge wanted to hear on 420.
That's what I
It's
thought we was
on
going to
New
hear.
Theme Thursday
Yep.
on 420. It was a Thursday, right?
It was
New
a
Theme?
Thursday.
Yes, and it was not. That was not the theme.
It was not.
It was the Earth Day? What was it?
It was Earth Day.
It was Earth Day. And you know what? It did fit because it is from the Earth.
It's from the Earth, man.
It's all natural.
Take advantage. Take advantage, man.
Yes, Friday is the featured film of midweek movie music today, and Friday a cult classic, but also probably one of the 420, all the 420 celebrations. A lot of them, I'm sure, had Friday on in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Just as like the background music, whatever, kind of the background entertainment, because Friday is known for being one of the favorites of the 420 crowd.
No doubt.
Also, you can hit us up on the Specs text line if you want to participate in the show. We always appreciate your participation. 512-337-3776. That is the number to the Specs text line. You also can use the Twitterverse. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse, and my man Patrick Davis, the real MVP, at It's Patrick Davis. Oh, yeah, and a shout-out to the texter who connected all the dots since we randomly started having a Janet Jackson conversation. Well,
That's
not
right,
randomly.
that's right.
We brought up Janet Jackson in Off the Record because Janet Jackson's concert had to be moved. It had to be rescheduled because Trae Young hit a game-winning shot, and basically their playoff series has to continue. Game 6 is going to be in Atlanta, and the people that booked the facility, they double-booked a Janet Jackson concert because I guess they didn't anticipate Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks advancing to this point in the postseason. And we start talking about Janet Jackson and her still touring at 56 years old. Good for her. And then Harge brought up the kid that she has with the billionaire aristocrat guy.
Yeah.
And shout out to the texter who said, man, it basically, as a coincidence, and because we didn't think about it, put it all together, there's a great Janet Jackson quote in Friday. Said he came out because remember he fixing Smokey up with the woman, and the description is that she looks like Janet Jackson. That's basically the description she gave Smokey.
Yes.
I look kind of like Janet Jackson, and he said you came out the car looking more like Freddie Jackson.
You wrong for that, man. You wrong for that, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Looking more like Freddie Jackson than Janet Jackson.
I love it.
Damn good there. Thank you, texter. That's what the Specs text line is for. Also, just a reminder, tomorrow we're going to be at the Link location at Pluckers for our draft day party. But then once we're done at 6, that's the Ball Don't Lie show. We'll be out there live from 3 to 6. But once we're done at 6 o'clock, we will all, except for Harge, actually.
That's right. You boys still be there.
We're all going to head out to our Pluckers locations and have individual Pluckers watch parties at the individual Pluckers around town, and you can go check out at the Horn Twitter account, the Horn ATX Twitter account for more details about where everybody will be. But I'll be at the South Lamar location. Harge will be at the Link location for the Pluckers, and my man Patrick will be at the West Campus location, Pluckers. That's what Ball Don't Lie will be. But a lot of the other on-air personalities will be out and about. So wherever your local Pluckers is, go to the website, go to hornfm.com, or go to our Twitter page, and you can go find out more details about the draft day party at Pluckers for the Horn. All right, gentlemen, let's get to some NBA playoff discussion. We did review, so I want to review a little bit, but I also want to preview some of the games coming up tonight, because that Lakers-Grizzlies matchup and that Warriors-Kings matchup tonight is going to be off the chain. Off the charts.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I think it's going to be great. Actually, I got some ratings numbers for you about that Warriors-Kings matchup that we'll get to as well. So we'll get to some previews of the NBA's playoff games tonight, and also Raj around the day. I'm talking NFL draft. The Texans, there's talk that they could possibly not try to tank again, but that they are eyeing the next quarterback class potentially.
Of
The
course.
next quarterback class for them would be a much higher rated class overall than this quarterback class, and that the Texans fans could be in for another tank job. We'll talk about that a little bit coming up next segment in Raj Around the Day. They are the biggest wild card in the NFL draft right now. Nobody has any idea what the Texans are going to do. Gives me a little anxiety, but it is the silly season. The more I hear, the less I know. So hopefully that just means everything that we've heard is basically a bunch of disinformation or misinformation, and they're just going to draft the best quarterback available at that time. And I'm hoping this Will Levis stuff is true. If Will Levis actually is going to get drafted first overall by the Carolina Panthers, that is awesome. because that means the Texans' job is the job of the GM, Nick Caserio, is so easy. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion size button. I'll say this right here on air: if Bryce Young is let's just say Will Levis goes number 1 overall,
Or C.J. Stroud.
or C.J. Stroud. Thank you. Good point.
Give me
Or
2
C.J. Stroud.
people.
Yes. Two
Hey,
options.
Anthony Richardson goes number 1. I'll give you 3.
And they want the biggest athletic freak to ever play the quarterback position. I get that too. And Bryce Young is there, and they still pass on Bryce Young, which there are some insiders that believe they may go Will Anderson and start building defense here and say, you know what, the next quarterback class, which I'll get into, that's a more attractive quarterback class. If they do that, Patrick, I'm not going to. I will consider joining you and renouncing my fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll consider it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm seriously going to consider it.
Yeah, I know.
That
Because again, they start doing the things where you say, same reason to go, where when I think of what thing would I like the least, and they continually do it. Exactly. And then every once in a while, surprise you with a new one that you didn't even think was a possibility.
That is true. They do that as well.
Okay.
They've done that a couple of times too.
Like make a bad trade where they trade from 12 to 11 to take a guy that wasn't going to go till 20. Or like if they did something where they went like, you know what, we better trade with the Eagles and give them a whole bunch to move up to 10, and then they take like Hendon Hooker at 10.
Yeah.
Something like that where you're like, what? Who do you think was going to take him?
So I guess basically,
I
yeah.
like this.
I'm
I
saying
like these
if
opportunities right here.
If they
us.
decide to go defense with that pick instead of going a quarterback, then, like I said.
What if it's Will Anderson? What if it's Will?
I don't like Will Anderson that much.
Okay. What if it's Tyree Wilson?
I don't like Tyree Wilson that much.
So you are really going to renounce your fandom?
I want to consider it.
So
I don't like any of those guys more than I like the quarterback.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot of people are saying Will Anderson is a generational talent. Watching him last year, you don't know how much of it was that this D-line was so bad for Alabama that he had to make up for it, that they couldn't pass rush basically with anyone other than him, so it hurt him. But it looked like you played a decent left tackle, and Kelvin Banks took care of him.
He did.
That you're able to stop him. And generational defensive ends that go number 2 are supposed to be double team to try and even slow him down.
I'm with you. I'm not hating on Will Anderson. I think he's going to be a good player, but I don't see him as a franchise-changing player. And the quarterbacks may not be either, but a quarterback has a better chance of being a franchise-chasing player than the defensive end.
Yeah, I think you can find another defensive end closer to Will Anderson than if you take a quarterback versus Davis Mills or Case Keenum.
I know. We'll get into it in Raj Round today. Yeah, it's basically history repeating itself. Instead of them drafting quarterbacks, they took Mario Williams.
Took Mario Williams, took Jadeveon Clowney up there.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's an organization, they have done that before, but this is a different regime. All right, let's talk about the games last night, gentlemen. You did have 2 teams that advanced that are moving on to the second round of the NBA playoffs. Clippers, they are going down. Well, they've been on a downward spiral, I should say, ever since Kawhi Leonard had an injury and he couldn't play. Without Paul George, without Kawhi Leonard, the Suns made easy work of them. They did make it a lot more competitive than initially thought in this matchup, but without their 2 best players, their 2 stars, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, the Suns were able to make easy, like I said, make easy prey of the Clippers, and they beat them 136-130. They're moving on, and Devin Booker right now playing some of the best basketball of any player in the postseason. He's right now playing like their best player. It is not KD, and KD's great, had 31 points. But Devin Booker, guys, in this series, averaging over 37 points per game, hitting 65% of his 2-pointers, 47% of his 3-pointers, 86% from the line. I mean, he basically 43% of all the points they scored in this series, Devin Booker either scored himself or assisted on those points.
Yeah, he came out as a man possessed. And the beautiful part about it is, who are you going to double team? If you try to take KD away, Booker can light you up. And he was lighting you up long before that. And then you look at what DeAndre Ayton was able to do. You brought up the points that Booker has scored. Durant finished with 31, and Ayton had 21 points and 11 rebounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that is another part of it. And again, this to me is Chris Paul's best opportunity. You know, we thought last year that he was going to have a shot at it. No, it didn't work out that way. You now have a triple threat. 4 good players on the floor all the time for you if you're the Phoenix Sun. Monty Williams, I don't think he gets enough respect as the head coach that he is, because I think he's really, really talented, and he's one of those calming coaches. Not a big yeller and a screamer, but he makes sure that the players understand what is asked of them. So when you see that and you see this team that and what they're able to do at such a very high level, what are you going to take away from them? There's nothing you can take away from them. You got to hope for an off night by 2 of them to even have a consideration to be able to be in it. And especially take out Kawhi Leonard, who we thought at the very beginning of it, at least I did, his defense was so impactful. Then he gets hurt. He's out of there. Then you don't have playoff Pete, Paul George. You don't have him out there doing anything. And now you just got Russ trying to do it all. And you know he likes that challenge.
He does.
But he can't do it because when he does have that impact, they lose the game. Sorry, DJ. I know you're in the car, bro. Sorry. But you even say he said it last night. He's got to get out, and he can't take all the shots because he knows, too. If he's doing that well, they normally don't win.
Yeah, no, I know you have Norman Powell and Bones Highland are the other 2 guys who want to shoot on that team when Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are out. You got to add, and I mean, you're supposed to have Gordon there. Like, you have other guys that are supposed to be scorers on that team. If for whatever reason, none of those guys seem to want to show up. So there was basically 3 guys who wanted to take over, and 2 of them had the ability to do it somewhat because Bones Highland did not look good in this series. It showed the reason why Denver got rid of him.
Well,
because that was an addition by subtraction getting rid of him because those guys have already moved on as well.
No, you're right about that. It's the Clippers right now. Just that experiment just doesn't seem like it's going to work. Not to win a title.
No. And they're getting the new building.
Yep.
They're doing – man, that was hilarious watching Steve Ballmer go nuts when they were coming back at the end of that game, and there's just a poor Phoenix fan, the poor lady
getting
sitting next
hit
to him.
by him every time. I saw it,
just
too.
Screaming. It was hilarious to watch that.
I saw that, too. I was like, man, he's going to hurt this lady.
Yeah, I mean, he's excitable, to say the least.
To
Steve
say the
Ballmer.
least.
Is he still the richest owner in the league?
I don't know.
I think he's up there.
He's definitely up there.
I think I want to say he was at one point. I don't know. They get, I think he still might be, actually.
Might be.
Yeah, because I don't know if Ishba, the guy who just bought the Suns, would be any richer. I wouldn't imagine he would be.
But my point is that he has not been shy about spending money so that team can be a championship caliber team.
Yeah.
And it's just the experiment's just not working.
He's getting them a new building. So they're not the Lakers' little brother anymore in the building where everyone's like, no, there's a Lakers arena and the Clippers play here.
Yeah. You can't you can't get from underneath the shadow of the Lakers if you're still playing the same damn building.
Exactly.
And they consider the Lakers home and not yours. Yeah. We got some sound here because Devin Booker went off. He had 47 points. 10 assists, 8 rebounds. I mean, they have just decided to run that offense through him, and KD is fine with it because how can you complain? They're a dominant offense when he's in their mid-range game. They call them the mid-range mafia. They're hitting over 50% of their mid-range jumpers. Over 50%. It's mostly just KD and Devin Booker having their way. After the game, here is KD being asked about Devin Booker's performance and likewise, and I thought this was a pretty good clip. Here it is.
From one score to another, what was it like seeing Devin explode in that third quarter?
Yeah, it was spiritual. I don't scream too much in the games no more as I got older, but when we hit that 3 on the top of the key, I felt the energy, and I know everybody in our crowd felt it. So we feed off his aggression. Not just us on the team, but Suns fans watching TV, Suns fans in the arena. Like, his impact and his presence just means a lot to us. So that was incredible to see and to be a part of.
Devin, just hearing that coming from a guy you know that's what he does and has been doing, what's it mean to you to have that kind of night and get that kind of praise from Kevin?
Hard to put to words. Somebody that I followed, for a very long time before we developed a personal relationship. So, to even be sitting up here with him right now is kind of surreal. But, just competing at the highest level, iron sharpens iron, and, even getting that, the work that you guys don't see, in the practice facility together, all-star break. I remember working in there together, playing 2-on-2. I don't take none of it for granted.
All right, there you go. Yeah, it was spiritual. Basically. He got the Holy Ghost out there watching. Devin Booker. Texter says, yes, he's the richest by a lot. $78 billion. Next is like $17 billion.
Man.
Good Lord. He might be the richest owner in sports.
Yeah, he didn't need nobody else to co-sign with him.
Yeah, they got some Walmart folks in it now, though, right?
Yeah, Denver's got the Walmart.
So I wonder,
there.
they always.
They got that. But hey, man, how excited are you for that Phoenix-Denver series now? When you get to see Devin Booker versus Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon's going to have to be trying to guard Kevin Durant. You get DeAndre Ayton and Jokic going in the middle. Chris Paul's going to be trying to get some going there too. It's just going like that is just going to be a really fun series to watch of two really good teams. And it is going to be Jamal Murray showed out last night.
Yes, he did.
He's trying to prove that he can be that second piece that Denver desperately needs to win a title. And Devin Booker is showing that he wants to be recognized as one of the top players in the league.
There's a Tim Duncan quality to Jokic where we just, and I'm not comparing him just outright to Tim Duncan, but that we just take his performances for granted now.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
for sure.
they're so consistent.
No, he's one of those guys who have 17 rebounds, and you go, 17, huh? All right.
Yeah. Like it's almost he's a prisoner of his own excellence.
Yeah.
He can't do anything now that will grant us showing our appreciation because 28-point triple-double, and it barely – and I know Jamal Murray was the big story because he had 35 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 3-points. He took over the game. But, man, Jokic is just so damn consistent.
Yeah.
And consistently elite.
Yeah. I think the other part of it, too, is like nothing is with flair. It's real
that's a Tim Duncan quality, too.
It's like he's not going to be on the microphone telling you how great he is. He's just like – I'm going to go out here and do what I do, and then I'm going to go back to the YMCA and chill out.
No, he admits that sometimes his stats are stat padding.
Yeah.
Like, he admits that. He was like, nah, that wasn't a good triple-double, man. You saw those rebounds? That was easy. Like, he basically talks trash on his own stat line sometimes.
That's humility.
It is.
But he's also setting you up. He's bobbing and weaving. He's sitting on the ropes waiting for you to slip up. He wants you to shoot him more compliments.
But
Exactly.
you're great, Jokic. No, man. Shut your mouth. I could have done much better.
No.
You're amazing.
He's the only guy that Zach Randolph can jump higher than.
Yeah.
And he's still putting up these numbers.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
The visual that paints for every fan who's ever watched the NBA is perfect. Because Zach Randolph, he'd barely get off. It's like my uncle playing at the family reunion.
That's what I'm saying.
He'd barely get off the
YMCA,
ground.
man. They come in, they're like, hey, man, he's the last guy picked. But he goes out there and he's killing, and he never comes off the court.
Fundamentally sound.
Yep.
So in Denver, they do advance, beating Minnesota 112-109. Trae Young talked about this earlier, but Trae Young, 38 points to keep hope alive for the Atlanta Hawks. They win 119-117 over Boston. Boston still leads the series 3-2, but now Game 6, gentlemen, in Atlanta.
ATL, shouty.
So that's why they rescheduled the Janet Jackson concert. Shout out. DeJounte Murray was out in that game, but he'll be back in Game 6. So they won a game with DeJounte Murray out, who's supposed to be, their second go-to guy behind Trae Young. And so that was a huge win, not only because they found a way to win on the road, they did it undermanned. They did it without one of their key guys, DeJounte Murray, who was serving a one-game suspension. So if Game 6 ends up being a win for the Hawks at home, we know anything can happen in the Game 7. Trae Young did go off, 38 points, 16 of those in the fourth quarter, gentlemen. And right now, this series is a lot more interesting than Boston Celtics fans would like it to be.
No doubt about it. And you sit here and you look at it. Boston won every category except for three-point percentage. They shot 31%, and Atlanta shot 46%. And free throw percentage, they were 100%, Atlanta was, and the Celtics shot 53.8%. Every other category, they dominated in. They had more points in the paint, 60-38.
I can't believe that number.
60-38. They had more fast break points, 24-8. They had more points off for turnovers, 14-8. And they lost the basketball game.
How the hell did they lose that game?
Exactly.
Yeah, most people would describe this as more of a collapse.
I would agree with that 100%.
By the Boston Celtics, just because if you go look at it overall, Boston, like I said, they had a lead, a huge lead actually.
Absolutely.
They had not a huge lead. They had a 109-96 lead. They had a double-digit lead with around 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left in the game.
Yep.
And that's when it all started to crumble for them. And Trae Young got really hot. Like I said, he had 16 points in the fourth quarter. And like I said, this is actually one of the unlikeliest wins or losses, depending on which side you're on, by a team in the playoffs in recent memory. Here's a little stat for you. Since 2003, teams up 3-1, which Boston was, at home for Game 5, leading after 3 quarters, were 54-4 going into that game. Now 54-5. And also they were 30-0 when leading by double digits going into the fourth quarter in that game. And they also were leading by double digits going into the fourth quarter and found a way to lose that game. So give it up to Trae Young and give it up to Atlanta for making it interesting.
And I'll tell you this, when DeJounte Murray comes back, him and Trae Young need to understand they cannot both be bulk shooters. That either you have to both try and take higher percentage shots and pass the ball, or one of you can be a bulk shooter and one of you's got to take less shots. But if you look at the one game they win with both of them playing, they both took a lot less shots. I think they combined were in like 33, 35, which is what Trae took in this game was 33. And in all the games they've lost, they're closer to 50. So if you talk about everyone else getting involved, people being involved enough that they're going to play defense, when you talk about raising your three-point percentage because it's not bulk threes, they're open threes. Right. All of those things you need to be able to figure out how to do. And if you guys are going to try and take over and bulk shoot together, where both of y'all are bulk shooters, your shot targets get up too much for two guys that are shooting under 50%.
Yeah, it's not efficient enough.
No, not at all.
No, that's a really good point. All right, so a little NBA discussion. We'll preview, a little mini preview of the games coming up tonight. We'll do that later on before we get out of here and what's on tap. But coming up next, I want to get back to the NFL discussion. I want to talk about the Texans. They're the biggest wild card team in this NFL draft with that number 2 overall pick. And there are rumors that the Texans might decide to punt at the quarterback position.
They're taking a punter?
No.
Probably.
They may try to punt on the quarterback position in the first round of this draft to take advantage of the depth at the quarterback position of next year's draft. This is actually a theory that Patrick brought up like 2-3 months ago, and I hate that now it's gaining steam during silly season. The more I know, the less I know. We'll come back and we'll discuss it right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Iron Workers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935, and as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do my friends over at Iron Workers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, maybe you're frustrated with your work choices or your career path, and you want something new, you want something fresh, you want something that's going to bring meaning to your life and to your professional goals, and by becoming a member of Iron Workers Local Union 482, you can accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, Iron Workers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people, that's right, 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. So you can become a member of Iron Workers Local Union 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I want to talk about the Texans because another rumor, one of the conspiracy theories about the Texans in the NFL draft. And by the way, they are the biggest wild card team in the NFL draft. No one has any idea really what the Texans are going to do. So the reports, the rumors are all over the place. Even Ian Rappaport said there's nothing coming out of the Texans organization. Crickets. So that's good, bad, depends on how you want to look at it, glass half full kind of thing. I'll look at it glass half full. It's good they're able to keep a secret within the organization. Hopefully they're keeping a secret. Hopefully it's just not they don't know what the hell they're doing. So that's why nothing's leaking out, which that also could be the case.
Very much so, right?
But there's also talk, guys, that the Texans may decide to pass on the quarterback position in the first round of this draft. They have 2 first-round picks this year, 2 first-round picks next year. And they may decide to pass on quarterback in the first round of this year's draft and just use those 2 picks to rebuild the defense because DeMeco Ryans is a defensive coach, and they really like the defensive prospects, and they may like the defensive prospects over the rest of the quarterbacks coming out in this draft who are not considered to be the top quarterback. And I think their top quarterback is Bryce Young. And the assumption is that Bryce Young is gone. They may decide, you know what, we like our grade on Will Anderson. Go back to our big board. Will Anderson's a better overall player on our big board, or Tyree Wilson, for that matter, on their big board than C.J. Stroud or Will Levis or whoever the second, third, fourth best quarterbacks are, even Anthony Richardson, who is just a physical freak of nature. I was reading there's a piece at LA Times, the LA Times, from Sam Farmer, and he talked to an NFL scout who said that Caleb Williams, who's not in this year's draft, who was a true sophomore this past season, he said basically, this is what the scout said to this reporter, Sam Farmer, quote, "It's kind of hard not to notice him. He would probably have been the top quarterback prospect last year, and this year he might be the top one as well. So he could be next year as well. He's got a big arm. He's athletic. He's fairly accurate. He can throw on the move. I'm excited to study him when he actually comes out." And then I heard Matt Miller, who is an ESPN draft analyst as well. He said that there are 2 quarterbacks that NFL teams are now enamored with, and it's Caleb Williams and Drake May. He said so basically. Drake May is also a quarterback prospect that NFL teams are already obsessed with. He said, quote, "So many scouts are already enamored with these 2 prospects, and I do think there's some truth to the idea that some teams are looking at where they are drafting in 2023, then looking at the caliber of quarterbacks next April, and ultimately opting to wait until 2024. And there's talk the Texans may be one of these teams. This is one of the conspiracy theories Patrick threw out there months ago that, man, what if they decide to just pass on quarterback, period, here in this draft and then focus on next year's quarterback? And they could, drop in this draft, or I say trade down in this draft and acquire more draft capital to devote to getting the number 1 overall pick next year. The problem with that is, and like I said, I don't disagree that next year's quarterback class might be better than this quarterback class. I'm not going there. That's a deeper discussion. But I do think that it's tough to, as we know, because the Texans just failed at trying to tank. They just lost the tankathon at trying to tank again, potentially, and risk messing up or screwing up another tank. Now, you do have 2 quarterbacks they really like. Apparently, maybe they like Drake May, maybe they like Caleb Williams too. But that's a dangerous game to play. That's a dangerous game to play if you're the Texans. And I'm not right now at this point, I wouldn't totally discount it. It could happen. I still think they're going to take a quarterback in this draft, but there's been more and more discussion, gentlemen, about them taking a defensive player with that number 2 overall pick, or even trading down in the first round to try to acquire more value and still getting defensive players. So that is also an option for the Texans, who are the ultimate wild card in this draft. But like I said, people, if you're going to look to the next quarterback class, and this has happened before, by the way, in 2019, teams were saying the 2020 class is going to be better than the 2019 class. And it was. I still, depending on who you with, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, and Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock won that 2019 class, 2020 class, Justin Herbert, Tua, Joe Burrow. So yeah, I think it's like, well, they were right about that. 2017, they said that the next class in 2018 was going to be better than the 2017 class. 2017, Mitch Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Kaiser, I think was a high prospect then, a highly rated prospect then. But in 2018, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson. Was it that much better?
No.
Exactly. Like it's pretty much a crapshoot. Like I've said about the quarterback position, and there's a reason the late great Bill Walsh stated the way that he did that. And the quote, I think, is still to this day applicable, and I still think it's relevant when it comes to quarterback evaluation overall and the quarterback, just the quarterback right now, whatever the archetype is for the QB position. Bill Walsh said that basically very few people can coach the quarterback position, even fewer can evaluate them. And he put the evaluation last and said even fewer. So very few people can coach it, and even fewer can evaluate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there is a struggle, and there has been for a long time. And by the way, Bill Walsh struggled too to evaluate quarterbacks. Now, he was better than most. When he asked all of his coaches, should we trade for Steve Young, and nobody raised their hand, he stormed out of the room and traded for him anyway. He knew Steve Young was going to be legit, even though nobody else believed him, because he knew how to evaluate quarterbacks.
Exactly.
And not everybody has that skill. I do think Andy Reid is one of those guys. There are your quarterback gurus, your quarterback nurturers, and I do think some organizations, all right, they are better equipped to deal with or at least to develop a quarterback than others. But the truth is, it's just a mystery. And for the Texans, I said, I'm not saying the quarterback class next year isn't going to be better than this quarterback class. It very well could be. But having that attitude, it's like that person that is single. They never really date anybody seriously because they're always too busy looking for a Miss Right or Mr. Right. That this imaginary, fictitious fantasy of a person and his perfect companion that checks every box, when in reality there is no perfect person. There's no perfect companion. There's no guarantee that person ever is going to be the savior or be their Mr. or Miss Perfect that they want them to be. That's the Texans. If they pass on quarterback in this draft, they're telling me they're looking for the perfect quarterback. The quarterback that's got to check all the boxes and be the savior of the organization. And the truth is, I don't know if that quarterback exists. Nobody thought Patrick Mahomes was that quarterback. Andy Reid did. They traded up for him. It's like, no, he's our guy. Yeah. He's got everything we need. He's the guy. And nobody thought Jalen Hurts was that quarterback. We just talked about him. Second round, nobody thought Jalen Hurts was going to turn out to be the highest paid QB in the league now.
Yeah.
And improve at the trajectory and the rate at which he did. It is mostly a crapshoot when it comes to the quarterback position. It is one of the greatest mysteries in all sports about how to evaluate and develop quarterbacks. I'd probably throw out there that any other position in all of sports that you have a much higher, if you just broke it down, a much higher success rate of predicting, projecting, and evaluating than quarterbacks, even in the modern times with all the modern technology and with all of the different data points that they're researching, the S2 cognition tests and all that stuff. It is still almost impossible to predict that Brock Purdy is going to come into the league as Mr. Irrelevant and be able to play an extremely high level as a rookie quarterback, and now have the 49ers, who traded away draft capital to draft Trey Lance to be the future of their organization.
Right.
And now they're sitting saying, well, we got to find something to do with Trey Lance because Brock Purdy's going to be the future of our organization. That's a well-run NFL franchise. And even they have figured out that, they've been stupefied by the quarterback position.
Yeah.
It's not an inexact science. It's more of an art form, and art can take on all types of forms. And that's the quarterback position in a nutshell. So I just think you got to keep drafting them. Just keep drafting them, and you may hit, you may not hit. If you don't hit, it's like dating. Go find another one. You can date somebody for a little while and figure out, you know what? We're just not a match. It's not going to work. We see the world too differently, whatever it is. We're not compatible. And you go date somebody else. And you look for the next person that is a lot more compatible with you than the previous candidates were. And the same thing with quarterback. So if I'm the Texans, I just pick a quarterback, man. Just pick one.
What?
Pick your best evaluation of the quarterback. Pick it. If you think Trey Lance is a better quarterback than the ones in this draft, then take Trey Lance. Go trade for him.
Yeah, you can't tank again. And
But you
that's
can't
one of the
be
things.
you can't be tanking trying to look for the perfect quarterback prospect. That does not exist.
Well, and let's not also forget the price was too high for you this year to trade up a spot for number 1. What happens next year when you're pick 3 and you need to trade up for a more sought-after quarterback than the one you wanted, and now you got to trade up. Now you got to give up, 5 draft classes?
Exactly.
To try and like, how many draft picks can you give up and players and everything else? And Laramie Tunsil's gone now, and you just gave up your entire team to try and get Caleb Williams because you put it all on, hey, Texans fans, sorry, we're gonna screw you out of another season, a season ticket money and everything else to come watch a team that's not ready to play. I mean, you can't do that.
You can't do that. That, to me, would be a miscalculation.
And I'll tell you this, you can in this year think you're going to take a quarterback in round 3 and hope he falls to you because you have a good grade on a guy, thinking that no one else is going to go after that same guy you're going after. Because I think that's something they could be doing this year too, is, well, we don't have those guys ranked as highly, but we're going to try and find somebody else, whether it is Hendon Hooker or the guy from Stanford or Houston or one of those guys that they think is who they'd rather have.
And could develop them.
And they think that's Brock Purdy or whoever else.
Yeah, don't do that.
But if you're going to take that, you understand you have to reach for him, because it's your quarterback, and you don't have a backup plan right now. There is no plan B for the Texans. So if you don't have that, you can't go, we'll just miss on the guy that we gave up not taking the number 2 overall pick with, and we'll go down. You can't have this logic of, we'll make it. We'll figure it out.
Well,
no, not at quarterback. You can't. A lot of positions you can, we'll figure it out. Quarterback's not that position.
Well, here's a monkey wrench for this conversation right here. John McClain, who has covered the NFL for a very long time, used to write for the Houston Chronicle. Now he writes for Gallery Sports. His mock draft came out about 12 minutes ago, and he's real close to the Texans, as we already know.
Yes, he is.
And he said that his number 2 pick overall is going to the Texans is going to be Tyree Wilson at number 2, edge rusher.
That hurts.
Here's the other one for you. Now he said he's going to release another mock draft tomorrow morning, so there may be something totally different. But here is who they pick with the number 12. Drum roll, please.
Oh, Anthony Richardson?
Close.
Will Levis?
Hendon Hooker at number 12.
Yeah. So that's a way I've heard. I know Peter King was talking about that too. I listened to a thing with him today, and he basically had those 2 guys as who he thought the Texans were very high on. That all seems to me as more of, we're high on those guys. I don't know if we're going to take them at 2 and 12.
And for the Cowboys, he has the Cowboys taking edge rusher from Clemson, Myles Murphy.
Yeah, if the Texans end up taking a quarterback, I can't complain. That's taking a quarterback high. It may not be a quarterback that I thought was worthy of that pick, but like I said,
at least they did take a quarterback.
Go back to my initial complaint is take a quarterback.
But if you take Hendon Hooker at 12, he can't play this season.
He can't play this year. You got Davis Mills. And you got
I get
Case
that. But
Keenum.
why are you taking Hendon Hooker at 12 if you go, well, if we're going to wait till next year, let's wait till next year. Let's go get Trey Lance. If I'm not drafting a quarterback who can play in this season, I don't necessarily want to take him at 12. I'd rather trade that pick to next season. Just get out of the 12 position if you're going to take Hendon Hooker at 12 and get future picks.
You're just saying don't draft a quarterback at all if you're going to draft Hendon Hooker.
No, I'm saying you can draft Hendon Hooker in the second round. You can draft Hendon Hooker maybe at the end of the first round.
No, there's talk that he's not going to be at the end of the first round.
I get that. I don't take him because you need that position this season.
If you want him that badly, you have to take him in the 50. If you want him that badly, you have to because there's too much talk that he's going to go in the bottom of the first round. You can't risk that. If you are going to go with the number 2 overall pick, if you're going to go elsewhere other than quarterback, you cannot risk, if you want a quarterback in this draft, losing out on the one quarterback that will be there for you.
No, I agree.
I'm not saying I like it, but that's why they would draft him there high.
With it. I don't like a quarterback who will not be healthy to play, so he's going to miss basically all of your training camps. He's going to be a year behind, and then you're going to find out if you go into that year, hey, we used the number 12 pick on a quarterback who we realized before he even starts for us is not. He was a gimmicky quarterback at Tennessee. Because we don't know if he's ready to play at that level. He's also 25 years old. You're starting him out at a 26-year-old quarterback with a year off his contract.
I don't like Hendon Hooker for the pick, but they do need to draft a quarterback.
I agree with that.
High, period. You're getting into trying to find the perfect quarterback again. That's my big complaint. Draft a freaking quarterback. and just move on. If you screw up like the Eagles did, admit you screwed up, trade the guy, and draft another one.
Exactly.
That's the
Carson
world
Wentz
we live in.
2.0.
All right, that's it. Like, quit trying to find the perfect quarterback. That's the problem right here for the Texans. You're not going to find a savior. Go find a quarterback and develop the QB. Everybody else does.
His draft the week before, he had the Texans taking Will Anderson, and with their second pick, he had them taking Jackson Smith and Jigba. So he's flipped on what he did a week ago.
Yeah.
To where he is today. And then one more time, we'll get another one tomorrow morning. And again, nobody knows.
Yeah, they just need to draft. They don't draft a quarterback. I think that's a problem.
Yep.
I do. That means they're searching and reaching for next season. And who says they're not going to screw it up again?
Yep.
And as Patrick mentioned, they didn't even want to trade up for the number 1 overall pick this year.
Right.
Why would they want to trade up all their draft, like at least pool all the draft capital for the next season
I agree.
to trade up all the way to number 1? I don't get it. So
No.
I'm assuming they're going to draft a quarterback.
When you had number 1 and you messed up the job. You had one job.
You had one job to lose.
To lose.
All right, we'll come right back. We'll get it off the record on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful on the Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams from the soundtrack of a movie that inspired him and plays those selections for us. And based on these selections that are played, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of the day. And today, Harge got it very first time. It is Friday. The cult classic Friday.
Cult classic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been a while since I watched Friday, but I'm probably going to end up watching it this weekend. And I actually don't know if my wife's ever seen Friday. I got to make sure she has.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of, I haven't asked her about it because it's been so long
You
since I
just
watched the movie.
assumed, too.
I just assumed she did.
Yeah, that's
if she
right.
hasn't, my feelings are going to be hurt.
Yeah?
She's a lot younger than me, so sometimes some of these movies, I'm like, oh, babe, you've seen this. She's like, oh, I've never seen it. I'm like,
Yeah.
who am I married to? Who did I marry? I have those who did I marry moments. Like, oh, are you serious? You've never
Very
seen
easy
it?
to happen.
Oh, man. You ever had one of those and like, I've been married to you forever and I didn't know that? What the hell? Yeah. So my man Patrick doing a great job with midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. We were just talking about the Texans and the possibility the Texans could go away from quarterback in the first round of this draft. They could decide to go defense, something like that. Don't forget, 'cause somebody texted me, a Texans fan, and said, don't forget, the Texans have a really kind of sordid history with quarterback acquisitions, too. Remember, they drafted David Carr the inaugural season, and he is the most sacked quarterback, I believe, still in a single season. That's the record. The most sacked quarterback in a single, I think it was like 76 sacks in one season. And at one point, I think a lot of teams have to deal with this. And remember that 2006 draft where they take Mario Williams?
Yeah.
Yep.
Could have got Vince Young. That was the whole talk. Right?
Everybody thought it was
H-Town.
going to be Reggie Bush.
Yes.
Remember, I was off that day, and I sent y'all that text because I was listening. I was like, don't forget about Mario.
Yeah, forget about Mario.
Because people were like, oh, they're going to take Vince Young or Reggie Bush. Who are we going to take?
Yeah,
And then all of
everyone-
a sudden, Mario Williams pop up, and everybody's like, what?
It's everyone in Texas thought they were going to take Vince, and everyone around the country thought they were taking Reggie Bush.
Yep.
And they didn't do either.
And they didn't do it.
And no one thought they were taking Mario.
Nobody thought they were taking Mario. Isn't that also is that the Aaron Rodgers draft or is it 05? When's the Aaron Rodgers draft? 05?
No,
that was VY was 06.
No, I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers draft. When was
It
that?
was 05, though, right?
It was
So he was the
05.
year,
Yeah.
and 06 was the...
He was 05, yeah.
Yep, yep.
So my point is, hell, Texas could have got Aaron Rodgers then too, because everybody could have got him. But then also, fast forward, there's the Peyton Manning. People forget this. Peyton Manning, one of the teams that was reported to be in the running to have Peyton Manning, was the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And they chose the Schaub job. Remember that? They were like, nah.
Wasn't he coming off that neck injury?
And so I'm not saying they would have got him, but they could at least pursued him. Instead of pursuing him, they decided we're committed to the Schaub job.
Wow.
Yeah. Pick 16 in the 2005 draft. They drafted defensive tackle Travis Johnson instead of Aaron Rodgers.
I was going to say, I thought.
They drafted defensive tackle Travis Johnson, Aaron Rodgers still on the board.
And then drafted a DN the next year too then.
Yeah. Well, that was a defensive tackle. You're taking at
so a
16.
D lineman.
So you got D. You were building up that D
D-line.
line.
He's building up the D-line.
The McNairs have a thing about building their D line, where it was always when they first started as a franchise, you were like, "That's the right way to build a franchise. Build up from the D and O line." And then Baselli never played for us.
Oh,
That's right.
And
Baselli
it just,
played.
never worked.
yeah. And then of course
Make sure you put Hall of Famer in front
Hey,
of it.
Hall of Famer, not Texan,
Damn
Tony
right.
Baselli.
he's still Hall of Famer. That's
Yeah.
true. And then of course the Deshaun Watson draft, which everybody thought was a great draft, and then you realize, well, you could have had Patrick Mahomes, and you didn't because they traded up ahead of you to get Patrick Mahomes. And Deshaun Watson looked like it was going to be a home run draft pick, and you had your franchise quarterback of the future. And then we all remember how that worked out. He didn't want to play for them because he was just drawn to it. But then later on, we found out about the off the field baggage that Deshaun Watson was carrying as well. So they just can't really. And now they are in quarterback hell. Essentially, they're in quarterback hell, and being in quarterback hell is like being in the friend zone. It's really hard to get out of quarterback hell.
They're trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah, it's less hard when you have a number 2 pick and there's 4 quarterbacks you can take up there. Makes it less hard unless you are determined not to get out.
Exactly. What do you say? What's your theory on the Texans? Whatever you think, whatever is the worst possible option available, that's probably the one they're going to choose.
So they're George Costanza before he does the opposite.
Oh yeah, when he hits rock bottom.
Yeah.
Hey, what did I say? Rock bottom can also be a trampoline.
Yup.
So
There it
hopefully for
is.
the Texans, they're going to hit that trampoline pretty soon. All right, we come right back. We'll talk Bijan Robinson, bad news for Cowboys fans, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Yeah, man, I think this is one of the first Ice Cube songs you've played for the midweek movie music, right?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I guess.
Look, and I hate to tell people, there's not as much hip hop on this midweek movie music because they didn't really censor versions of a lot of these songs.
Oh,
so
yes.
we were playing the ones that have clean cuts.
Friday is the featured film of midweek movie music. Harch got it on the first selection that was played from the soundtrack. So my man Patrick always plays sounds from a soundtrack, and based on the selections, we gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. And today it was the movie Friday. It is the anniversary this week. That came out today, actually.
Came out,
how many years ago?
28, I believe, in 95.
That
My
makes me
math's right.
feel old.
I know.
Ah, that's crazy. I can't
I know
believe
that's that one that when you say if you don't know if your wife watched it, you're like, well, if you do the math, then she didn't watch it in theaters.
right.
I can tell you that much.
No, I did not see Friday in theaters.
No, I was 11.
That's no way.
And it's-
I was old. I was probably
I
old
was
enough
at
to
the
see
opening. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, boy.
it. OG.
Throw 'em up in the air. If we don't care.
I would have to sneak in. I would have been sneaking into a Friday movie
Yeah.
if I did see it. It would have been me
I was
sneaking
also
in.
a young white kid, so I don't know if it was on my radar as much.
Yes, true. Good point.
At
That's
11
fair.
years old, I don't know if I was
Yeah.
like, what's Ice Cube doing today, guys?
Hey, you probably were a big fan of Ice Cube from, well, actually, if you were 11 then, there's no way you remember Boys in the Hood at the time.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I could have been a Chris Tucker fan.
That is true. Chris
Could have
Tucker
been a
had
Chris
it.
Tucker
As
fan.
at one point, Chris Tucker was the funniest man on the planet.
Yeah, he was.
I think it's like a fleeting title. That's like being the funniest. It's like being the fastest man on the planet or woman. You only have that title for so long, and then eventually you're going to lose that title.
Your name will be I Once Was.
Yes, because somebody's
Yep.
going to come up that's just funny. It's just the reality of it. But at one point, I think you could make the case he was like the funniest guy on the planet. He had his run of movies, and he was.
Yep.
The Rush Hours were great. The Rush Hours were great. You probably can't make them today because they're just not politically correct enough. But aren't they making another Rush Hour?
I think
They are.
Probably.
They are.
It's not going to be as good though, right? We're too.
Well, if we're saying the number 4 and it's 20-something years off the original, I don't care if it's about the culturally correct. No, my guess would be no.
No, we talked about how all-time great comedies, they lose their comedic potency, if you will, the deeper you go into the sequels. And yeah, there's no question that Rush Hour, the beauty of it was that a lot of the chemistry between Chris Tucker and what is his name now? Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
And they threw a lot of cultural kind of references in there,
Exactly.
taking shots at each other, and that's what made it funny. These days, somebody gonna get canceled and somebody gonna get upset about it. Guarantee you over it. And then, what happened to Chris Tucker? Why did he go away for a while?
He probably got tired of the mess too. And just like Dave Chappelle, sometimes you just need to walk away to make people really understand.
You know what I think it is about comedians? Why they disappear for a while after they like hit their peak? I do think there's a lot of pressure with being the funny guy or gal, and someone always looking at you and expecting you as your profession to make them laugh.
Yeah.
And you always have to make them laugh. Like they never take you
Yeah.
serious. Even though Dave Chappelle's always like, man, everywhere I go, I'm a funny guy.
Tell me a joke.
But I don't always want to be funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like I don't always want to
yeah.
be funny. And people laugh at stuff that I don't even mean to be funny anymore. He's like almost drives you insane. Where it's like, okay, everybody around me is just laughing at me. Are they laughing at me or
Yeah,
laughing with me
yeah.
or what? What is this? Am
That
I the
makes
joke
sense.
or am I making the jokes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a freaking geek thing.
And then people just being mad at you for you're like having dinner, and then you're like, oh, nice to meet you, and they're like, you ain't funny. You're like,
Yeah.
what? I'm having like, I ain't trying to be funny. Why
Yeah,
are you
good
mad
point.
at me now?
Yeah, good point. Like they don't even like
Was I
your style of
supposed
comedy.
to be?
Yeah, so I'm sure it's something along those lines. Anyway, let's get to it here, gentlemen. Nothing funny about the draft stock of one Bijan Robinson because it is rising fast. At first, everybody was like, he's going to be a first-round pick. Don't worry about it. Then it was like, well, he's going to be drafted in the top 15. I remember saying early on, teams going to have to trade for Bijan Robinson. It might be a trade down, might be a trade up, but I think he'll end up being drafted by a team that trades for him. But right now, there's buzz that he may even go in the top 10. And that has been something, if you look at the draft boards, I believe not Matt Miller, Todd McShay. He just released his overall big board, and that's just a ranking of the top players overall in the draft. He's got, if you go look at it right now, Todd McShay has got Bijan Robinson number 2 overall on his big board. number 2 player in the draft on his big board overall, which is, like I said, that's unbelievable for him to be considered that high. I also saw Matt Miller had him in his top 10 of his big board. So he's getting a lot of love, as well he should. He deserves it. He's a legendary lifetime Longhorn. So he's making the rounds, getting ready for the draft. And he was on NFL Network and on NFL Live. The first cut is him on NFL Network with Andrew Siciliano, I believe is his name. And he was asking Bijan about his visits, who he's visited with, and who has really stood out to him among those teams he's visited with. Cowboys fans, I'm sorry that you have to hear this. A little tough to stomach. Here's Bijan Robinson when being asked about the teams that he's had a chance to visit with.
Did you get a good feel?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for both teams that I visited, with the Eagles, it was an amazing visit. From coaches to GM to the janitor, the staff. I mean, everybody there was just amazing. And just even me just building those relationships throughout the draft process, with those guys, it's been awesome. But yeah, man, I mean, every team that I talked to has been amazing, and I think that, now I'm just really excited to see where I'm going to end up in these next couple of days.
The other visit was Tampa. Let's throw the Falcons question out there. We had one guy up there saying you, Chad Ryder, could go to the Falcons at 8. That one seems to be gaining some late momentum, Bijan. Do you feel that? Do you feel that at all?
Yeah. I mean, even the Falcons, that's a great organization. Great coaches. I had a chance to meet with them as well, and it was an awesome meeting. So I kind of see where that's going in, and where that's headed at. But obviously, like I said, for me, we just don't know. We can have a surprise, or we can, anything can happen. But I just know that God's going to put me in the right team, right position, and it's going to be fun wherever I'm at.
All right. He was asked about teams that we feel something. He brought up the Eagles. He talked about the other teams too, but he brought up the Eagles, Harge. You're a Cowboys fan, and I brought this up earlier. I love Bijan Robinson. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but on the outside looking in, you are a Cowboys fan, but also a Longhorn fan. Die hard, right?
Yep.
Bleeding the burnt orange.
Love it.
And that means you love Bijan, and you want what's best for Bijan. Can we all agree? Bijan being drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles with the best offensive line in the league, 2,000-yard receivers, quarterback right now that's the highest paid quarterback annually in the league. Can we all agree that would be best for him? Also a team coming off a Super Bowl that would probably be contending for another Super Bowl. That would be best for Bijan. Other than Kansas City, maybe he's not even, there's no chance in HE double hockey sticks that he ends up in Kansas City. Other than Kansas City, I don't think there's a better team or a better possible situation for Bijan for his career path than going to the Eagles. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams house, Cardi B house, Megan Thee Stallion's house, but we also agree that would be really bad for the Cowboys. Be great for Bijan, bad for Cowboys. So you as a Cowboys fan, are you willing now to support Bijan as a Longhorn fan, / Cowboys fan, even if he becomes a Philadelphia Eagle, even though it would be to the detriment of your own Cowboys?
In the words of the great man that I've seen on Twitter a lot, hell to the no. Hell to the no. I wish Bijan great days. I wish him great days on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Some Thursdays.
I was going to say.
Friday nights more like it. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, have at it, bruh. You'll be a Longhorn. People will be honoring you. They'll be waving at you, throwing you the hook'ems. But if you're an Eagle, can't do nothing with you, man. Wow. Can't do it. Won't do it.
You're going to abandon your Bijan Robinson allegiance.
I'm not like my son. I'm not going to just follow him unless he goes to Atlanta, Arizona.
Anywhere other than Eagles.
Anywhere other than. I don't even want him in New York. Okay. I don't want him there either.
Yeah. But you don't want him in division.
I don't want him in division.
You don't want him in division.
But I wish him nothing but the best. That's a great young man. Just listening to him and seeing him grow since the day he got here and keeping the same even keel is something to behold. But I be doggone if I'm going to sit here and cheer for him going for 2,000 yards, rushing and receiving because they gonna use him.
Oh.
They gonna use it.
With Jalen Hurts, them
Come
running
on, man.
the zone read option back there. Oh,
That is a problem.
that'd be unfair. That really would be.
Yeah, I can't do it, bro.
I
can't do it.
understand. I know. I get the conundrum.
I'll cheer
that
for him if
you
it
have.
was a Texan. If the Texans say, you know what, we taking him at number 2, man, I'll be all about that. I'll be clapping it up. I'll even go to the game. I'll even go down there and watch him. Not doing it if he's an Eagle.
All right, Rod. Wait, if he were to end up on the Colts, Titans, Jaguars, would you have any animosity, or would you just be like, yeah, I don't care that much about the Texans? Like,
No, I'd root for him because the Texans, the Cowboys are actually trying to contend for a Super Bowl this year. They really are.
Yeah.
So that actually legitimately is going to hurt the Cowboys' chance of winning a title. Bijan in the division of the Texans aren't winning a Super Bowl, and they're not even close to winning the title. So now if they were in the position where the Cowboys are, I probably wouldn't root for Bijan. I'd probably be I'd probably be staunchly loyal to the brand of the Texans because, hey man, we're winning a title. The Texans aren't going to contend for a title for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans might not even be there by the time they contend for a title.
No, I can tell you Nick Casario probably won't, but
exactly. The whole regime might be gone by the time they contend for a title. So
that's right.
Yeah, Bijan, hey man, bring some joy to my heart and run down the throat of the Texans, which I know you can do.
No Bijan Musterson on my sandwich. Nope.
They're going to put it on Philly cheesesteaks, baby.
Nope, not doing it.
How about that Bijan Musterson on them Philly cheesesteaks?
Go ahead, put it on there. Put it on there. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want it just because I don't want to have to, like, even not being a Cowboys fan, I don't root for the Eagles.
That's a good
Philadelphia
move, man.
fans are generally awful fans
They're
to
awful
see.
fans.
So I don't even want to see. I don't want to root with the Philadelphia fans.
Wouldn't that be the irony of the nicest guy possibly coming out in the draft is going to end up with the meanest fan base in the NFL?
They're gonna ruin poor Bijan.
They're going to ruin Bijan.
Yeah.
He's going to
Come on, hey Jerry, you got to trade up, Jerry.
Yep.
There's to that point, James Palmer of the NFL Network said early this week he's spoken with executives around the league about the possibility of Bijan Robinson falling to the Eagles. And he said, quote, "I'll just say this. A couple of NFC teams I talked to this weekend do not," that's in all caps, by the way, "do not want the Eagles to draft Bijan Robinson. They believe that it will make this offense beyond scary." Peter King echoed a very similar sentiment that he believes Bijan going to the Eagles would make them the most unstoppable offense in the NFL. And we have enough more sound, Harsh, for you to stomach. This is stuff that's out there. This is Bijan making the rounds. There's nobody's fabricating this or trying.
It's coming from the horse's mouth.
And I don't think they're leading questions, by the way, either. The first one was, well, have you felt anything with any of these teams? He brought up the Eagles. And this time, he's asked by Dan Orlovsky. Oh, you know what? Dan Orlovsky asked a question here. Here's the sound
let Dan talk
of
about it, man.
Bijan on NFL Live.
You cannot answer Patrick Mahomes in this, okay? If you could pick any quarterback in the NFL to line up with and go play with, who would it be?
There's a lot of great quarterbacks.
You got to pick one, and you can't say Patrick.
Jalen Hurts.
Nice. Hey, what would that look
I'll
like?
say, hold it real quick. If you went to Philly, I would pick you to be the offensive rookie of the year because of the zone read.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Love it. I mean, along those lines, what was your meeting like with the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was great. With both teams that I was with, just even building relationships with the coaches, the support staff, the GM, even the janitor. Like, the janitor was super cool too. It was like an awesome visit. And for me, like, I pride myself in relationships and building those relationships and understanding who people are. So even when I was at the Eagles, at the Buccaneers, and even just talking to other teams as well, it's been such a fun process, understanding who those people are and just having a good time throughout the whole process. But yeah, it was a good time there. But obviously I can't choose, and Thursday we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, Bijan, I hope people who have watched your play and become a fan of who you are as a football player can come away, even just from this short interview, and see a little bit more about who you are as a person. We appreciate you spending the time with us here and cannot wait to see you in Kansas City. Congratulations on everything.
Good luck, man. Congrats.
All right. He brought up Jalen Hurts as the quarterback he wanted to play with. Not Dak Prescott, who is the most tenured quarterback for any team in the NFL.
Yeah. So when
Yep, sorry about that, man. Mm-hmm.
I told you, I think the reason why he went Philly was because of the fact that his agent represents the highest paid player in the league. I think that's why he said it. He's like, oh, well, this is part of the agency, so I need to go ahead and say them. He didn't really want to come out and make people believe that Detroit is the place that he really wants to go.
That would be good.
Or the Dallas Cowboys.
I would love Detroit.
Yeah, I will be watching Detroit Lions game.
Top 5 offense.
I'll be like, all right, I'm going to roll with that.
Yeah, we'd all be rooting for Detroit if he goes there. We'd all, everybody.
I'll get my son a jersey.
Hey, Chip Brown would be the happiest man.
Fancy boots.
Yep.
And we'd be having
and Rob B.
Lions watch parties.
Yeah, no, I would love that, actually. I'm a Detroit Lions fan because I'm played for the Lions, so I like the Lions.
Gave you a shot.
Hell, paid Rod B longer than any other team was
There
willing
you
to
go.
keep me around.
There
So
you go.
shout out to the Ford
Go
family.
ahead, Lions.
So I'm with you. I would love that. That's really, what, 6?
6.
They got 2 picks,
they have
though.
the shot.
They do got 2 picks in the first
but
round.
he ain't gonna be. He ain't
He ain't
gonna
gonna be for the same. My point is, they may decide, we can move down and maybe get more value and get a Bijan maybe 2 picks later or something. But you're right. Did 2 picks later is Atlanta.
So again, it goes to Vegas at 7.
Yeah, you're right. That may be the team.
Yep.
Maybe it's the team you trade with to get a little bit more value. But if you're gonna draft him at 7, you might as well get him at 6. But we'll see how the draft ends up playing out. But sorry, Cowboys fans. I know a lot of you out there did not want to hear that. Insider Info said, this is the worst show y'all have done. This Bijan going to Philly talk has made me sick. I'm sorry, guys. I know Cowboys fans that would hear this.
Insider Info. Me too.
This is a big national story. I'm not just searching for these clips.
I will tell you a reason why Bijan going to the Cowboys is better for Bijan than him going to the Eagles.
Give it to me.
Because if there is one owner in the NFL who will pay him a Sexton contract, if there's one owner who will like the man that Bijan is and give him millions of dollars to be a Cowboy for life, that man is Jerry Jones.
You're right. It's a great point. He's proven that he'll do it. And do it early.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you want to say monetarily, Jerry Jones may be the best solution for Bijan Robinson.
I will say that. I love it. I love it.
I like Detroit, and I do like the possibility of Atlanta drafting Bijan. Because I do think Arthur Smith, who's coming from the Tennessee Titans, that offense, so they had Derrick Henry when they were in their at their apex, if you will, with Derrick Henry and then Ryan Tannehill. Actually, when they had A.J. Brown there, he's going to try to replicate that offense in Atlanta, but with Bijan Robinson as his Derrick Henry. So that could be interesting too. But there's no doubt, man, the Philly thing, guys, he would be playing in Super Bowls.
No doubt.
You know this. He'd be the best running back in the NFL. So with that offensive line, he'd immediately be the top running back in the league.
Rod, I don't care.
I know you don't.
I don't care about his Super Bowls. I don't care about him being a great human being. I don't want him on Philly. I don't want him on Philly because the Philly fans would not appreciate him the way he should be. Because the first game he fumbles, he'll be like the texter that was like, remember that game against Texas Tech? That's the reason why they lost. Remember that texter?
Oh, yeah. There was a texter who was kind of he was very critical of Bijan.
Yeah,
they were very critical.
We're not a fan of Bijan.
Yeah. They were a fan. They were just really critical of Bijan. It's just, we're not.
They don't deserve him.
Well, I'll say this. This is why the Philly thing could be cool, though. You watch Abbott Elementary?
Oh, yeah. You know
Which
I do.
is in Philly?
Yes.
They have a lot of references to Philadelphia.
Oh, they love their fans.
Yeah, and I'm sure I think they had
They tailgated in the parking lot.
They love
they were
references
charging people to park there.
to Eagles, and I guarantee you they would have like a Bijan Robinson episode.
Oh, for sure.
They would.
Well, I hope they never
he
get
loves
that.
the kids.
I hope they never get a chance to film that. If they do, it's going to be of him running through people. It's going to be of him running through people from another team.
So come on, Detroit Lions. Come on, Atlanta Falcons. And save the Cowboys from a bleak, very sad, and depressing Friday.
Save me.
If the Eagles end up drafting Bijan. Because it doesn't even matter who the Cowboys get.
No.
It's not going to trump for a Cowboys / Longhorn fans, it's not going to trump the misery of having to watch that guy run downhill on
Run
your
amok.
Cowboys. But you know what? Hey, Dan Quinn's defense, it's hard to run amok on Dan Quinn's defense. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
All right,
it
Dan
is.
Quinn's
It
defense.
is.
Y'all disrespecting Dan Quinn's defense, thinking Bijan just gonna run all the way down their throat. You know what I mean? Michael Parsons over there. They got some that three-headed
They got
monster
some
at
dogs
safety.
on there.
They got some dogs over there now.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick before we get to break here, one other story that we have not really talked about today, and this actually may be good news for the Texans. Maybe it's bad news for the Texans. We don't know. It's the silly season. The more you hear, the less you know. Apparently, there is a consensus, gentlemen, among the Panthers front office, head coach, the decision makers on who the number one pick is going to be. They know.
Mm-hmm.
According to
if you listen to Will Levis, he knows too.
Well, the Reddit user, what was the Reddit user's name? Something
I
weird.
forget it. It was a bunch of numbers.
It was like
It was a
good
bunch of
reader or something 2849. I don't know what it was, something crazy. But yeah, he apparently that Reddit post said that Will Levis told his family, "I'm gonna be the number one guy."
Yep.
I pray it is because
come on. Be right, Reddit.
Oh, that'd be so amazing.
Oh, Reddit. Come on, Reddit.
Y'all be so excited about it.
Oh, it'd be
I
great.
will say the Texans did get good news that John Mechie showed up in his involuntary workouts right
That is
now.
good news.
Recovered
Yes.
from leukemia diagnosis last year, has come back, is working out with the team right now.
Yep.
So that is awesome news for the Texans. It's awesome news for him.
That is good news. That's great news, actually. Good for him. And the Texans, actually, whoever they bring in at quarterback, they're going to have upgraded weapons. Even though you lost Brandon Cooks, and they brought in some really talented receivers.
I mean, like you get Bryce Young. He played with John Mechie. They played together at Alabama.
Oh, that's
You got a connection there already.
I like that.
I need
Come
you to
on now.
stop.
I like that.
Not happening.
Harge, you
Not
want to talk about Bijan to the Eagles
No,
again?
y'all good. Y'all good. Y'all good.
Play
Y'all
the
good.
audio again, Patrick. Play it again. All right, now we're just joking. All right, we come back. We'll talk about the Sark Texas tour. Steve Sarkisian, head coach of Texas football, he is making the rounds around the state, talking to different Longhorn fan groups. He was in H-Town in Houston, speaking at the Touchdown Club. We have some quotes that we'll kind of sift through and also talk about the home and home with Michigan that has been tweaked just a little bit. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Apple Leasing because they want to be your friends, too. You need friends like Apple Leasing. Trust me, they're always on your side, and they have your best interest in mind. And that's why they've been doing business here in Austin for almost 40 years because they do it the right way, and they put you, the customer, as their top priority. They have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on any car that you want. All it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They'll even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Apple Leasing's simple interest easy lease. It makes things simple because it gives you a lot more flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is through the roof. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. So leasing actually makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So call Apple Leasing today, 512-346-9977, and let them see how much money they can save you. Just start the conversation, all right, because they get all the same discounts. They get all the same incentives that their dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings on to you, the customer, so everybody wins. Well, you win. All right, so give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, the midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. That's when Patrick takes sounds from a soundtrack of a movie that inspired him, plays those selections for Harge and I, and based on the songs that are played, we are to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of the day. Harge got it on the first try, and it's one of his favorite movies, one of my favorite movies, one of our favorite movies, Friday.
No doubt.
What a beautiful thing.
What a beautiful thing.
So thanks to my man Patrick, always working hard. We do have now some details on the Wednesday Night Flex coming up in about 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
Right here on 104.9. We got the crew, Zach Lucero, The Seed.
Yep.
The Seed.
Nolan Hogan.
And by the way, Nolan Hogan, he's from a household that they're Texans fans because Aaron Hogan's got Texans ties, or at least the Houston ties.
Yep.
So their allegiance, all right, to the Texans is something strong in that household. And he came here, the first thing he said when he opened the door, Texans gonna screw it up. All he said, he
didn't
said
say
hi.
anything else. He just opened the door. He said, Rod, Texans will screw it up.
So the Seed has been taught well. You can tell what Pops is talking about in the household.
That's right.
Nobody knows what the Texans are going to do, but we're sure they're going to screw it up. We just don't know.
We ain't going to like it.
We don't know what they're going to do, but we know we're not going to like it. All right, next text line wide open, 512-337-3776. Oh, by the way, shout out to Kerry. Remember we were talking about the texter who was very critical of Bijan after the fumble at Tech? He texted. He said, that was me.
That was me.
And I simply said they should be drafting the Tech linebacker that stuck him, stood him up, and played to him with a forced fumble that cost the game. Yeah, I always said that fumble by Bijan, it was the only time I've seen Bijan be tackled that cleanly, and I think Bijan himself was surprised. That's why he kind of fumbled the ball. He was like, nobody's ever hit me this cleanly. And
he didn't even get a chance to spin.
He didn't.
No.
Usually he can kind of fake somebody out. Nobody tackles him cleanly, or the first always make the first guy miss. Not that time. Great tackle by that Tech dude. Tech defense. That's what I knew. I was like, Tech defense was going to be much improved. And now they're talking about the Texans might draft them at number 2.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't think they were that improved. But I guess
seemed to be. Maybe he was improved.
He was. He actually stopped playing game 8 or something.
Yeah, he shut it down. He was like, I'm out of there.
Yeah, somebody gave him some advice, some counsel, and said, yeah, man, you know you're trending toward being a top 15 pick. And he was like, see ya. See ya. Peace. Sark is on the road right now. He's he's taking the Texas tour, if you will, talking to different fan groups around the state of Texas. And there are different groups he'll talk to. In Houston, he's talking to the Touchdown Club in Houston, and he was speaking there, talking about different topics, a lot of different topics. He revealed this about Arch Manning. I thought it was really interesting, and I got this from Anwar Richardson of Orange Bloods and my man Joe Cook of Inside Texas. They did a really good job of getting some of these quotes. So he basically revealed, Sark did, about Arch Manning, that he doesn't have an NIL deal. That Arch Manning's family and Archie Manning himself insisted that Arch not have an NIL deal until he becomes a college football starter.
That's great leadership.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good leadership too, man. And we've been talking a lot about his influence in the NIL world, and he's basically telling you, like, no, he did not come here for the NIL. Remember, I was telling you that the boosters and donors, shout out BMDs, telling me that, University of Texas at Austin wants to be the, NIL capital of college sports. And then you have, Sark telling you, getting Arch Manning, who I think in the NIL rankings is like top 5 in the country, and him saying, I know that's a big deal, but he didn't come to Texas for the NIL deals.
Yep.
That he came to Texas because he loves the university. That is backed up by a Joe Cook tweet at JosephCook89, where Steve Sarkisian says that the morning Arch Manning committed to Texas, he got a text from Cooper Manning. Cooper told Sark, if there's a message to tell the other recruits you are recruiting, it's that Arch Manning is coming to Texas because he loves the University of Texas, he loves the coaches, and he loves the program. It's not about NIL. He's taking zero money, says Sark to the Touchdown Club.
There you go.
How about that?
Hey, keeping it posted, man.
I love that, man. That's fantastic. So, until he gets to be the starter, he's not going to have an NIL deal. And his family, they actually support that. They don't want him to have an NIL deal or even be worried about the NIL issue until he's a starting quarterback. So take care of business first before you can actually become a business yourself, right? Like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
Sark also was asked about Malik Murphy. Remember last week we played sound of Josh Pate, who is a college football analyst for 247 Sports, and I believe his name is Jesse Simonton. His last name is Simonton. I could have gotten the first name wrong. He is an analyst for On3. They both had a similar conversation when talking about Texas spring game about Malik Murphy and saying, well, Malik Murphy probably and should be a starting quarterback at a Power 5 program right now, and there are a lot of programs that could build around his skill set. Here's what Sark said about Malik Murphy staying put here in Texas. He said he's not surprised Malik Murphy never entered the transfer portal. Steve Sarkisian said they have a great culture and praised Murphy for being patient and playing behind a QB in high school. Said Murphy is a great young man and awesome teammate.
Yep, there you go. And that's somebody that you and I have talked about. Once he got on the field, everybody was going to be like, oh, my goodness, because when you walk into the stadium, you can't help but see him. I mean, he's just that big of a guy. He's that big of a presence.
He's huge.
And he is impressive to see. All he needed to do was get on the field, see what would happen. And I knew once everybody got a chance to see him on the field, all the conversations was going to happen. Oh, my gosh. We need to get him in the field. We need to get him on the game. Why is he not playing? Can he challenge Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning? But he was sitting there being patient, waiting his time, and once he got it, he wanted everybody to see the conversation. Dude is talented. We talked about his arm from day one. We saw it during his recruitment. There were some things that he needed to work on. It looks like he worked on them, and he cleaned them up. And he's impressive.
And he's available.
And
right?
he
The
is
number one
available.
ability is availability. He wasn't even available to practice. He was dealing with an injury. I do think that Arch Manning discussion, all the hype about Arch Manning, I do think it motivated him to say, well, why is everybody talking about Arch Manning? I'm here. I'm the guy. What's going on? And he went out there and showed everybody during the spring game. And I also think Malik Murphy, just me psychoanalyzing Malik Murphy, the player, the football character. I think, and this is, by the way, this is guys I want on my team. This is the dog mentality you got to have on your team if you want to compete for championships. There's got to be something in him saying, I'm just as good as Quinn Ewers. Yep. I don't really get all the hype I don't get the grade of him being the highest graded player at that position in modern recruiting. If he is, then they should have graded me higher. I'm just as good, and if he doesn't perform consistently and he has a couple of down games or gets hurt, by the way, going back to 1999, there only been 6 seasons where Texas has had a quarterback start every game, all right, for the Longhorns. So there's a good chance Malik's going to play at one point. Hopefully, it's not because of injury.
Correct.
And I don't want it to be because of performance, but if that does happen, and like I said, the odds are that he'll get a chance to play at one point, Malik Murphy's probably thinking to himself, I'm not relinquishing this job.
Right.
I'm going to go out there and perform at such a high level, and I'm going to perform like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I'm going to make it extremely tough, almost impossible for the coach to bench me at that point.
Right.
I'm going to take ownership of the job.
It's going to be a real issue.
That he's thinking that.
Yep.
He won't admit it to y'all.
And
but he's
rightfully
thinking
so.
that because I wouldn't recruit a quarterback who wasn't thinking like that.
Yeah.
I don't want you on my team if you ain't thinking about taking that guy's
player
job.
like that.
Yeah, I want everybody to do that same
Everybody is
mentality.
in that same thought
and
process.
I guarantee he's thinking, well, I'm going to take this damn job during the season and watch this.
Yeah.
Watch this. And if he doesn't, you know what? It's fine, too. That means Quinn Ewers had a great season and played the whole year. So I'm hoping.
And we'll probably be leaving anyway because he's going to go to the draft.
That could be true, too.
If he goes out there and has a great year.
That's a
and
great
that means
point.
that Texas is headed to a bowl game, a big one, New Year's Day.
So ideally, you're hoping you never really have to see Malik.
Thank you.
And when you do, if you do see Malik, then he's going to showcase his talent, and you're hoping you have a first world problem. Then
what?
That everybody's like, Quinn Ewers
happen?
looks like he's a first round pick, and now you got this other guy looking like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yes.
What you gonna do, Sark's like first world problems.
Yep, I love
I'll
these
take
problems.
It. Yeah.
That's right.
I love
That's right.
more money, more problems.
Because remember where we were before.
Come on now.
Yes.
Yeah, we all remember that.
Yes.
Remember, Alabama sat Jalen Hurts and put in Tua and won a national championship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have those problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll take it all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Wasn't Sark on that staff?
He probably was.
I think you're right. It's like the
I
one
was
of the
at that game,
consultant.
but I couldn't remember
Because he
if
was with
there.
Atlanta from 17 and 18, 2 years, and then 19 went to Bama.
Yep.
I think you're right about that. Okay, we come back. We'll get. We'll wrap this thing up. Put it in. Also, give you some details on the Wednesday Night Flex right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Getting ready to wrap it up and put it in the oven. Before we do, we'll let you know what's on tap. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. Remember, tomorrow we'll be out and about amongst the people. We'll be at the Pluckers, the link location for our draft day party. At least it's starting up there. Ball Don't Lie from 3 to 6. And then we'll head out to our individual draft day parties at the local area Pluckers. Harge will stay at the link location. I'll be at South Lamar. Patrick will be at the West Campus Rio Grande location. Ty and Chad Hastings will be at the research location. Oak Hill, that's E. Hogan. Lakeline, that's Zay. And Round Rock will be my man Wags. All right, what you got on tap, Arch?
I'm going to watch some basketball tonight. Hopefully the Lakers can close this thing out. Got a parlay on it. Hope they go ahead and win this thing.
What you got on tap, Patrick?
Basketball. De'Aaron Fox is playing because he's a dog.
Oh, got that dog in him. Also, we got the flex coming up next. We'll have Stony Point basketball player Josiah Mosley and St. Michael's quarterback and FAU signee Carson Krueger. Remember, the Revolution I be televised. Talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.